on your mind and it's fighting you on yourself. The storm is coming. Well, kid, what you gonna do now? It's your reflection looking back to pull you down. So are you gonna die today or make it out alive? You gotta conquer the monster in your head and then you'll fly, fly, Phoenix fly. It's time for a new empire. Go bury your demons, then tear down the ceiling, Phoenix fly. And now you're playing with matches, come out of the ashes underneath you. A million voices in the crowd, they're screaming, stop now. Well, let them swallow the pride, you're turning the tide to true believers. Got them in the palm of your hand, you're playing God now. What you gonna do now? It's your reflection looking back to pull you down. So are you gonna die today or make it out alive? You gotta conquer the monster in your head and then you'll fly, fly, Phoenix fly. It's time for a new empire. Go bury your demons, then tear down the ceiling, Phoenix fly. So are you gonna die today or make it out alive? You gotta conquer the monster in your head and then you'll fly, fly, Phoenix fly. It's time for a new empire. Go bury your demons, then tear down the ceiling, Phoenix fly.
夢を縛り付ける重たい定めの石にまるで押しつぶされてどこにも逃げられないひたすらあがきながらだけど諦めない瓦礫の底に埋もれた希望のかけらたちきっとこの手で見つけ出すさ世界を変えるためにファイティング自分の道を信じたものだけがいつか輝ける命の限り神にも逆らい戦い続ける不屈の魂たちよファイティング祈るよりもただ求められるのは前へと進む心地べたを這いながら見上げたあの空の星を捕まえるんだ誰も知らない 抱きしめて歩き出そうファイティングゴール光を放て全てを塗りつぶせ情熱の色で怒りも罪も力に変えたなら今を生き抜くのさ俺たちなりの正義でファイティングゴール安らぎに背中を向けてファイティングゴール自分の道を信じた者だけがいつか輝ける命の限り神にも逆らい戦い続ける不屈の魂たちよファイティングゴール
Hello and welcome to the grand final of UWAnime's League of Legends tournament. I am your host, Samson Daedric Zeuspark, and here with me is my co-host Brian Savage. How you doing today, Brian?
It is a great day of League of Legends, let me tell you that, and I hope today is going to be a killer and hopefully go through the full three games.
Yeah, I'm really excited as well. I hope it goes 3 games as well. We've got some special little changes if it does go to 3 games, but we'll see if that does end up happening. So we've got the Epic Minecraft Dabbers of Society, Sons, and Co. Polity Limited. I think that's what it was. Yes, Chad is saying I've got a new haircut. I got a new haircut specifically so I don't have to have another one for 3 months. So I got it cut really short. So yeah, it's a bit of a jump. So don't mind that, chat. But yeah, I'm very excited for these games. Hopefully it goes to 3 games. But what are your predictions? What do you think will be the end result of this?
Look, I mean, we've seen throughout this in tournament, the Baba boy has been just basically taking control of the jungle in every game that he's been in. But we've seen this story coming from the Titanic, basically improving from game one, where they did lose against Minecraft Dabbers, but improving game onto game, picking different types of champions, doing some role swaps with Paddy up in the top lane, and it's really paid dividends. And we saw in that last game, making a statement there, crushing that game leading into the finals.
Yep, yeah, and it was very interesting to see how much they just decided to crush. Obviously, they really wanted to make a statement. So if we actually look onto, I made a little infographic of the last time these teams faced, which was actually back in round one, as you can see, as I'll just pull it up here. That we oh, actually, I have got the second one up. But that's right, I'll switch it around. But as you can see, so last time the Minecrafters won when they faced in round one, they picked a very strong composition with a lot of early game damage that then scaled into quite late game long range damage. They end up just running down the Titanic.
Yeah, and that first game with the Padico on the Tristana basically dominating that 2v2 matchup. Even the Gina Morgana, who we saw Dabbers bring out in their second game of this tournament, absolutely crushed with it, didn't really stand a chance against that aggressive Thresh playstyle in the bot lane. So Remilia remaining a strong contender, being able to face up against this bot lane of the Minecraft Dabbers side.
Yep, and as you can see with me just changing over to the items and the KDA, you can see that Bubba Boy, as you were saying before, very much was out strong that day as well, carrying with his Rek'Sai and then scaling into late game by building a lot of defenses and being able to face first tank all of these sort of team fights while his team was able to carry up in the backline.
Yeah, we saw a huge amount of ganks towards the top lane. Mordekaiser just going head to head with Dig Y PTB. We made a few jokes in that first game around tank v tank fights in the top lane taking about 5 years before actually concluding. But towards that mid game, the pressure from the Rek'Sai ganks, we had counter ganks all over, and they really couldn't deal with the Rek'Sai being all over the map, taking control of those dragons, and eventually the 10-4-12 score.
Yep, yeah, and the one of the major changes that we should probably point out is the fact that there's actually been a roster change since this first round. Paddy Co and Dig Y PTB, it's always a mouth twister for me, have actually swapped roles. So Paddy Co went up into the top lane for the other 2 rounds, and Dig went down bot. So it should be interesting to see because Paddy excelled very well when he went up top afterwards. So it'll be interesting to see if he continues that performance.
Yeah, exactly. And we saw the power of the carry top lane coming from the Padico. Dig YPTB, not really strong on that Maokai as the tank, as the front line, not really a front to back comp that these guys really could execute. Like the Titanic, once they hit that iceberg of the mid game, they sink to the bottom. So really seeing Padico break out the Renekton's, break out the Rumbles as
Rumbles,
well,
yes, yeah.
really showing that power and strength in the mid game.
Yeah, and I'm very interested to see if his picks there will demand bans and give more flexibility to his other laners, or if his picks will be left open as a sort of statement of, oh, we can match your picks with our picks.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what bans do come out because these bans that we do see that happened in the first game were as a result of not seeing what really the other team would pick in this tournament. But as we've seen over the course of this tournament, we've had a lot of crazy picks around towards the bot. The Jin and Morgana is being favored by this team on the Dabba side. We have the Zerath and the Vel'Koz as these really hotly contested picks in the mid lane. And I don't really think you can ban out the jungle on the Dabba side because my boy, Bubba Boy can really play anything. He's played a
Yeah.
different champion basically every game.
Yeah, and he's demanded a lot of attention, and he's got a lot of bans put against him in all those games, and he's just pulled out a different jungler each time, performed really well. Actually, if we jump over to the other little information thing here, we've actually got the different performances, the average performances across each game, which is quite interesting to see the range of what everyone's been playing. The first two games, Minecrafters played the Jhin and Morgana bot lane, which both proved very, very strong, and then switched it up when the Jhin got banned. They switched it up into that Xayah Rakan and also performed very well. So it'll be interesting to see if they have other bot duos that they can play really well with.
Yeah, this Rocky Rocks and Bear of the South synergy is a sight to be reckoned with throughout this entire tournament. You ban the Jhin, you ban the Morgana, they just pull out the Lovers duo and carry it through to the end game. So it'll be interesting. I'll be interested to see what this team on the Titanic side does to ban out that bot lane, because if you ban too many bot lanes, Bubba Boy will bring out something new, and he carried on a Nah jungle, building a Doran's Blade first. So I don't know what's going on there, but this man, he could probably do it all.
Yeah, it's the new meta. It's the new meta. It's quite interesting actually with the comparison of the top laners, where Paddyco has actually been more consistent with his games, and he's been able to get himself more solo leads and whatnot, and then he pressures the enemy team into having to answer him. But then the damage per minute of Bob the Bloop has been higher because he's been taking small leads in lane, or even if he's been behind a lane and he just immediately takes that and runs another lane to that, takes that Pantheon, takes that Aatrox, takes that Mordekaiser, teleports in or ultimates in, and really tries to just pressure into the bot lane and try to get his other lanes ahead, especially if he's not super ahead.
Yeah, and we did see Paddy go throughout the mid game, even the last game that Titanic played. He wins top really early on, but then towards the mid game, if he doesn't get that help, he starts to take these bad trades. And we saw last game he had to teleport away from a fight towards the bot lane. So we don't want to see that happening again.
Yep. Hopefully he doesn't get caught out with any CC. Really, if he tries that again next time, he was very lucky that he was facing a Tryndamere there. But it'd be interesting to see if the jungler of Titanic will be able to handle the pressure that Bubba Boy will normally put into these matches. He normally seems to play, especially with the Zac and the Trundle, more neutralizing sort of tanks, more tanks that work around zone control. So it'll be interesting to see if he tries to go back to the Nocturne and matches pressure, or if he tries to go more of a tanky jungler and see if he can just support his team in different ways.
Yeah, I wasn't too impressed on that Nocturne coming from Karo Kamota in that first game loss against the Dabbers. He really didn't really go on the carries like the ADCs on the mid laners. Every fight he would paranoia in and basically instantly get deleted. And I think against Bubba Boy, if he starts to get ahead and he starts going on these carries like the Graves and the Rek'Sai, he can really basically just delete you. And that's one smite down and a dragon onto the side of his team.
Yep. It's very interesting to be very interesting to see how this sort of matchup will go. And also another interesting matchup will be in the mid lane. Both Lasercake and Varencard in all of their games. I actually see that I've misspelled Varencard. I've actually smacked my computer and actually typed an E in there. So I apologize for the stream. But both of these mid laners, while not exploding a super amount in each game, they haven't been super solo carries. They've been able to back up their teams. They've been continuously putting out damage. You can see by their damage per minute numbers are quite high, especially compared to the rest of their teams. So it'll be interesting to see if they keep this good performance up.
Yeah, we've seen throughout the tournament these sort of long range siege type pokes type mid laners being favored by basically all teams. And we saw the Vel'Koz, the Zeraths, the Luxes coming out of all of these. And Varencard, even with the Vega, was putting a lot of pressure in his last game as well. So it's in the mid lane, while they aren't really making these 1v1 plays to try to snowball, they're just sort of waiting for their junglers poking out the enemy mid laner. It's that poke damage that leading into the mid game, leading into these dragon fights, really starts to pay dividends. And all it takes is one Vel'Koz ult, and that's your team fight going your way.
Yep, and it's seemed like the mid lane meta and pretty much the entirety of this tournament has been that those long range characters, those Vel'Kozes, those Zeraths, those Luxes, the Vigas. So interesting to see if they keep picking that thing, if they try to pick an assassin to counterpick into those more immobile mages, or if they double down and go something completely different, like something like an Orianna. Be very interesting to see what they try to do.
That's it. And over to the ADC side, we once again have seen Rocky Rocks just favoring the Jhin towards the early parts of the series. And once that's spanned out, moving over to the Xayah with the synergy with his support as well. Rocky Rocks, really safe laner. You can't really gank him. He will always stay even in CS, pretty much whether or not you're in his tower or not. And then he gets that deadly flourish out the moment his friend Bubba Boy comes in. And that's a 3v2 gank with the deadly flourish, and you're going down. So these types of ganks and playing into his jungle's playstyle, looking for those picks, looking for you to overextend in Siege while remaining up in CS is really paying dividends for them.
Yep, and then on the other side of the coin with the Titanic's AD carry, he was top lane for the previous game and for their first game and got shut down pretty hard. Went on to Vayne and wasn't really able to get those leads. But then in that third game, when he got Misfortune, when his team drafted around him, when he got those spots where he could actually play the game, he wiped enemy teams. He got so much damage in those fights, and it really bumped up his damage per minute numbers. It would have been quite a lot lower if he didn't get that third game. So it'll be interesting to see if his team can draft around him, if he can play in that form, and if he can go off his team that well, and see if they can win team fights.
And I still remember Twitch chat yelling "Dig YPTB" every time he got one of those bullet times off on 4 members of the enemy team. So we're going to see if MF, one of the stronger ADCs in this patch, is going to be hotly contested here. As we do look at the support and Bearer of the South, he's great picks on the bot lane, good vision control around the mid to ensure that Bubble Boy is able to secure those objectives. But we haven't really seen much diversity there, only the Morgana and the Rakan this tournament, and that might be a sore point if they start to ban out these supports.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that we are pretty close to getting into Champion Select here, so I'll just jump us back to us talking here while we wait. So what's your predictions of the final score of the day? What do you think?
Look, I think it's going to be a 2-1 victory against the Dabbers, but it's going to be a close one. I think the win condition for the Titanic, if they're going to be able to keep Bubble Boy under wraps, is really ensuring that they can actually win the lane phase and set up vision to stop the ganks. If they can do that, stop Bubble Boy from snowballing, you should be able to get a good lead into the mid game and eventually take out those wins. But I still think they can't shut him down for 3 games in a row.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a 2-1 to the Minecrafters as well. Just the talent of their jungler especially is quite good, and the AD carry is showing that he can also perform really, really well in his lane. So it's interesting to see if the way that the Titanic will counter it, whether they'll pull out some random picks and try to confuse them, if they pull out really solid drafts that can't really be countered with the things. But I believe that we've actually jumped into Champion Select, so let's just jump over right now. So we see now that there's been a Graves ban up against the jungler of the Minecraft Dabbers, and the Veigar ban back.
Yeah, they do not want to deal with the Veigar that they saw last game, that huge scaling the picks as well with the cages. We've seen Morgana ban as well, do not want to deal with those picks out in the bot lane.
Yep. I think it's more of a thing of they're trying to ban away what enables Rocky Rocks rather than trying to ban away stuff from Rocky Rocks himself. As we see the Misfortune and the Zerath being banned, respectively, from the Minecraft Dabbers and the Titanic.
I'm loving seeing this, just banning what these guys have been strong at throughout this entire tournament, forcing them to go in the non-comfort picks. Let's see what they do.
Yep, and we've seen the Norless be banned. It's been quite a good pick from Bramilia in the past couple of games. He's been very, very solid with it. So he's going back to his Thresh, which is what he ran in round 1, which was actually up against the Minecraft Dabbers. So interesting to see if he can correct his form. Is they've actually left open Xayah and Rakan. So this
the lovers duo being picked right here, and we saw the strength of this in that third game. Let's see if they make a statement here.
Yep, Thresh can play pretty well into the Xayah Rakan. He can flay away Rakan, he can keep him at a distance. However, if he starts his W, that knockup will happen. Even if he gets jolted, his character just stops moving. So even with that CC, as we see that Zac and the Ashe lock-in, very looking to dive in and play around the Ashe arrows, most likely.
Yeah, I love seeing this Ashe pick. I was actually looking at all of these players' solo queue games before, and on the side of DYPDB, he has been playing a lot of Ashe and a lot of Caitlyn, so a lot of long-range ADC carries. So I'm loving to see, and I can't wait to see what they've been doing in scrims.
Yep, it'll be very interesting to see. I've seen that they've been practicing quite a bit in norms, to some success and to some not as much success. I saw a couple games of Laser Cake going top and then inting pretty hard, but it'll be interesting to see. Seeing he's in mid lane, I'm sure that doesn't affect anything. As we see the Wukong ban lock, and we saw the Vel'Koz lock in before, so Laser Cake sticking with his fairly signature pick that he's done throughout the tournament, so it'll be interesting to see if he can keep that damage per minute up and if his team can enable him to sit in those team fights.
Indeed, and I'm glad to see this Mordekaiser ban because Mordekaiser wasn't doing so well against them, but then suddenly in the mid game when he got that Leandres, he was dealing basically all the damage in team fights.
Yep. Very interesting to see how it's going to go as well. We've got the Wukong, the Mordekaiser, they're just hovering this ban here. Be interesting to see. I'll talk a little bit more about team compositions. I don't want to give away too much, as I said before in the last game. I won't talk too much about team compositions or how to specifically draft for and against, because I don't want anyone to be drafting in, but we see a Lux ban and a Pantheon ban.
So 2 bans pulled into the jungle of Bubble Boy. They're saying we can deal with that now with Doran's Blade, so I'll be interested to see what happens. He does
He
that
locks
top lane or a jungler, we don't know yet.
The flex
Let's all
pick.
just calm down.
The ultimate flex pick, he locks in the Nah. And we actually see the Orianna and the Jax locked in. That's interesting. I'll bite my tongue with it until we see people lock in, but I quite like these picks. Jax is obviously known for his late game scaling, especially if he can get through that early game. And Orianna, of course, is just known as an absolute teamfight god, especially in the mid game, when she can get about 2 items, and when people don't really have magic resist, that's when she can really hurt. And the Sylas lock in. Okay, so...
Still a flex.
Still a flex pick. It could be Sylas jungle. It's not as strong as it used to be. So there is the possibility that it's either top or jungle. I would expect it to be jungle though, because I don't think Sylas would fare too well into Jax. I don't think Sylas stealing Jax's ultimate is a huge thing. I don't think he gets the passive, the 3-hit passive, where it's certainly a lot more better for him to run into mid or run into bot and steal those sort of ultimates as a jungler and just have that versatility. So we'll count down till the loadouts, so no one can swap their things anymore. It seems like people just kind of picked their own champions. And then we'll have a 3-minute, or wait for 3 minutes, so we're not on the same time, so people can't load up the stream and stream snipe each other basically. So once it counts down, let's have a chat about how we think this game will go.
Yeah, and I'm glad to see basically comfort picks across the board. Patico with a 67% win rate on Jackson solo queue, even though we haven't seen that in the tournament. But really strong sort of team fight oriented. You get that Orianna ball onto the Jax, diving into the enemy carries. The Ashe can pull some utility in the backhand, making sure that Bubble Boy can't get to him if he just slows him down. And with the Zac in the background as well, just going onto the carries, I'm seeing a lot of team fight potential on the side of the Titanic.
Yep. That's what I'm very much saying. I believe so. Minecraft, they're both trying to go for quite a aggressive teamfight comp. A lot of Minecraft is very aggressive all-in style. Nah needs to go all-in Rage Fawn to be able to do anything. Rakan needs to be directly in the face to be able to do anything. And then Sylas really wants to be in the face to be as well. So they really want to be up against it. And they've got that more backline damage of Xayah Vel'Koz. So they're all very, very just rush in. Whereas the Titanic, they've got quite a Russian team comp with you got the Zac and the Jax especially, but especially with Thresh and Ashe and also Orianna, they can play that all-in comp, but they can also play a very kiting comp. So interesting to see if in these fights they can bait and engage, step back, sit behind a Thresh cage, kill Rakan while he's slowed. I think it's like 99% decaying when he hits the Thresh wall, or it's like maybe 95%. So get a good hook on him, instantly kill him, and then that's your main engage down. And if you don't have that main engage, the Gnar can't follow up. And if the Gnar can't follow up, it means the Xayah and the Vel'Koz can't follow safely. So it's very based around whether they can play around this Rakan and his engages.
Yep, and it's always an awkward position to be a Xayah when your team is fighting back to front and then you're trying to gild feathers, but they're always positioned so that you want to kite them backwards. And I think on the side of the dabbers as well, you have the Xayah, you have the Rakan, just being able to dodge all the CC coming in on the side of the Titanic, and then if you overstep your bounds, these Vel'Koz ultimates and these Gnar ultimates, as well as any Sylases stealing the Orianna balls and things like that, things might get crazy in these team fights.
Yeah, it definitely is. And Sylas, when he steals Orianna's ultimate, can only cast it on top of himself. But seeing that Sylas is a melee champion and has the dashes in and the chains in, he should be able to get it off on multiple people if he can connect his chains onto the enemy.
Yeah, lots of wombo combo going in and around, and to be honest, looking at these lane matchups, I can't really tell who is going to win. Every single lane is basically evenly matched, and I think it's dependent on these jungle ganks. I think everyone can play pretty safe. You have the Ashe with the long range against the Xayah, you have the Orianna in the mid lane with that great wave clear against the Vel'Koz as long as she can dodge some of his abilities, and the Jax as well against the Sylas. So I think every lane is just going to be dependent on ganks here.
Yep, yep. Ashe will somewhat struggle up against the Rakan, especially when level 6 hits. It's very hard for Ashe to navigate that if she doesn't have Flash. If she does have Flash, however, and Rakan messes up the engage, the return CC by her and Thresh means that even with his dash back to Xayah, he's not going to be able to get it off because he'll just be hooked into flayed, into ulted, and he won't be able to do anything. So it'll be very interesting to see how they go around it. As we jump into game, I'm just going to move the overlay, and it will be black on your screen for a little bit stream, but it should jump over to what it is in a second.
Too easy, as we are now in the loading screen, so nothing too crazy coming out of all teams in the runes. You do have Silas picking up that Conqueror, so in Teamfight he is going to heal a lot, and the Nah jungle, which we did see break out in this tournament. I haven't seen too much of that in solo queue, but with the fleet footwork, make sure that he can have that sustain in the jungle.
Yeah, and it means that because he's not playing a super aggressive jungle like, say, the Graves that they banned out, he can't pressure Zac as hard into the jungle. That's normally where you want to pressure Zac, and around about levels 1 to 5, before he's got a lot of levels in his E and can jump from very, very far away. That's normally when you really want to punish him. But it'd be interesting to see if this Nah jungle can safely scale up, can get a couple ganks off, and then when he hits level 6, probably just running straight into the bot lane and trying to kill the enemy bot lane.
And we do see here the double TP on the side of the Titanic. Varren can't bring out that TP in the mid lane, so Vel'Koz does have the edge towards that lane phase. Orianna really looking just to farm, and once you hit that late game farm on the Orianna, those bowls really do start to hurt with the W. So we're going to see how that plays out with this Jax obviously wanting to split push as well.
Yep, and it'll be quite interesting to see how these lane assignments do go, because Silas will eventually want to start grouping. He can side lane, but he wants to start grouping. He wants to start using those teamfight ultimates against the enemy team. So if they let Jax just do what Jax wants to do for too long, Jax can just melt down towers when he gets his Trinity Force plus his other items. I don't believe, does he go Rageblade anymore? I don't think Jax does go Rageblade. I think that's kind of an older meta. I don't play top too much, so I'm not too sure about top builds.
Yeah, I think nowadays picking up a lot of books, so we're going to see what it is, but not really a meta pick nowadays, Jax. But again, we've seen in this tournament, we're seeing Nah jungle, so it can really be anything.
Yeah, it's not like we're sitting in the LCK and have Korean challenger players. Anything can go really with these sort of drafts. It'll be quite interesting to see. As I'm at 2, 3, 4.
Yep,
We're
we're
synced
synced
up.
up.
Cool. So we see
As we
Nah
see-
correctly buying the jungle item, which is definitely handy. Correctly buying.
I am glad to see that, because that Doran's Blade did set it up behind. He almost died to the Gromp there towards the bottom lane. So luckily for him, he did buy a jungle item this time.
As you can see, Blue is looking to possibly invade in. They're looking to go around the top way, trying to utilize the Thresh hook. And I believe Ashe would most likely have her volley. Does Jax have his E? Jax does have his E, so they're looking for a CC chain. They're going a bit
really
more
love
of a
this
visual.
5-man stack.
They decided
Not
not
sure
to
if
go
they
the
spotted
wolf.
him.
I don't think they did, otherwise they would be running. Oh, it's tense. And yeah, it looks like Minecrafters. They're just sitting in that bush there. They might get run into here.
Not sure if they have a ward over the bush. Let's see if any of them get spotted. Jax coming around the other side as Thresh goes in. Let's see, Bobby Boop, can he get hooked? He does get death sentence and immediately stunned, and first blood goes into the Titanic, making a statement there, invading and getting the first blood onto the Ashe carry.
That is so cheeky. I've almost never seen an invade like that, even in my solo queue games. That's really crazy, and there was no real counter against it. Nah has to go over to his blue, which isn't very good for Nah. He doesn't really have that many mana problems, and cooldown reduction isn't really a huge thing for him. He would much prefer having the red and the health reduction. Not health reduction, sorry. The health regen. As you can see, him starting on his bot side, and also Zac starting on his bot side.
And we see there Ashe backing and buying the longsword, so it's going to be a slower jungle start on the side of Karok and Molotov. Ashe might be late to the lane at 46 seconds, so about 12 seconds off from that first creep wave. So they will not hit level 2 before the side of the Minecraft Dabbers. Let's see if anything happens.
Yep, and if they can just admit the fact that they're 3 melees behind, so they'll probably be about half a wave behind Minecrafters. If they can just concede the fact that maybe just back up, give a minion or 2 for the fact that they have that level disadvantage when Minecrafters get level 2. If it just means that Ashe keeps her level lead and can keep her, that gold, not level lead, sorry, the gold lead and the item lead. So if they can just play it smart, play it safe, because if you can see, They're looking
They
to
do get
possibly
level
do
2.
something.
Bro of the South immediately goes in onto Remilia, but they don't get the Feather Stun. Yeah, he misses the Death Sentence completely. Ash with the utility in the background trying to get some trades in here, and it is an even trade because the Ash, with that passive from the Frost Shot, is dealing damage.
And I would almost say that that's basically a negative trade for the Minecrafters. Really, Ash is still full health, you know, still has her potion, whereas Zaya's really going to have to rely on her potion and going to have to rely on the Rakan Hills. So it was very well done, just, you know, playing it back, slowly disengaging, and then utilizing Ash's slow to turn it back around.
Death Sentence missing in the bottom lane, as in the top, Paddyco is pushed up onto Bob D Boot, but the Gnar is just killing over the golems there, so we're going to see Bubble Boy senses a gank in the top lane.
Paddyco unfortunately misses Cannon. He's getting engaged on. Looks like it's just negative trade. His Rave is freezing quite unfortunately. However, Bobby Boop is now starting to get a caster minion lead. And now the wave will slowly push back into Paddyco. So the lane is not totally over. It was over in the way that the lane was before. Unfortunately, that trading did hit some of the minions and disrupted that balance. So you can see in mid lane, Orianna's taken some damage in poke, but has a level experience lead right now. It should change after, yeah, this minion there. So for the most part, it's fairly standard.
And we've seen throughout this tournament, Lasercake playing the Vel'Kozes and the Zeraths, able to poke out his mid lane opponent, forcing these awkward back timings. And in the game of League of Legends, it's a game of inches, right? You take an awkward back timing, you miss an entire wave. So we're going to see how that works out, as we do see relatively stable lane phase thus far, only the first blood into the top jungle there early in this game.
Yeah, a very exciting start into definitely a bit more of a lull of a laning phase. It'll be interesting to see there. As you can tell, that Zaya's got a small CS lead, fairly even in mid, fairly even in jungle, and still fairly even in top as well, with the wave slowly starting to push into Jax. So actually, Jax collecting that crashing wave into him, he'll have if he can collect those minions correctly, he'll end up having a minion lead of a couple. So fairly even game, fairly stagnant. Zac won't do a whole lot early. He probably wants to get about level 5, level 7 before he gets, he gets more levels in his E. He can jump a bit further. Jungle obviously can't really do a whole lot in ganks until he gets level 6. So yeah, it's a little slow, but I can definitely tell with these team compositions, when these game hits into the mid game, these teams will really just want to keep forcing fights. As Gnar is looking at bot.
And we see Bubba Boy immediately moving in, wanting to make something happen, but Bear of the South does miss that grand entrance. But we see Zac here, or Karaka Moita, in the sideline, ready to support his team.
Yep, and this is the thing that last game, the bot lane of Minecraft has got super ahead early from, I think it was a level 2 fight. So ever since then, it was just like a continuous pushing of the lead. There's actually a hook in.
We see a Death Sentence immediately onto Rocket Rocks, and the exhaust comes through, denying the damage, but not enough from Dig Y PTP. Ash not the greatest in terms of AD, and even with that long sword, Remilia can't finish Rocket Rocks, can he? Zac does come in towards the background onto Bubba Boy, and the Death Sentence does land. Now transformation coming in around 5 seconds here, and Remilia flies him backwards, but might be biting off more than they can chew, as Bubba Boy does get the transform and picks up the kill onto Remilia. Can they pick it up with Karaka Mosa? Let's see. As they are unable to pick that up, as he does reach the safety of his turret.
And also while we were watching that, up in the top lane, Jax actually ends up losing a fight up against Sylas. I don't believe Sylas uses ultimate. He's got level 6, but it's not on cooldown. So I believe it was just probably a bad trade, a bad fight. I didn't end up seeing it. But now Sylas is starting to get a little bit ahead. However, Jax does have a bit of a CS lead. So it'll be interesting to see if Jax just goes, oh, well, I've died once, I'm just going to sit in my lane and farm more and just reclaim all that back. Asha's come back in, even though she died, she's able to pick up this quite big minion wave that's pushing into her. So she's still able to reclaim quite a bit of gold and quite a bit of experience. Na's looking into the jungle, but he's getting chased out a little there.
Yeah, and we saw in the top lane, Paddyco taking a lot of damage from Bobby Boo, push out of lane, basically at 25% or less HP throughout the entire lane phase, and that's the power of the top lane. As they go in and fight again, Bobby Boo does get the stun onto Jax, steals the Jax ultimate, immediately does Paddyco towards the bush, does some jukes and drives, and does pick up the trade there, but it's relatively even in the top lane, neither of them really wanting to go for this kill.
Yep, and Jax will slowly start to heal back up with the corrupting potion, and Sylas slowly, if they trade again, Sylas can heal back up with his W, especially seeing it gives him more health when he's below 50% HP. So these lanes will be quite evenly traded until Jax drops his corrupting. and his biscuits, and then it'll be a little more interesting to see if they can go all in on each other. So you can see actually up in the top lane, the wave is slowly pushing away from Sylas. So Jax has not lost his lane yet, that's good. Has not lost that minion control. But
Yeah.
Sylas's Qs are starting to hurt against him.
So always that top lane, you mismanage your wave and you're going to get poked out and miss even more. So being able to take control of that, and towards the bottom as well, the Ashe against the BF sword of the Xayah, the huge burst damage. We saw why they lost that 2v2 because of that actual AD damage from the Xayah versus the Ashe. So I'm not sure if they can actually take fights from now on until she does get that ball.
Thresh is looking to pressure though. Looks like he's mostly just trying to auto attack and keep pressure on so they can't CS for free. The wave will push back into Minecrafters because it did hit the Titanic's tower.
But Padiko again has to flash out Bob Deep as he does flash forward. He's now able to pick up the Purs. Karuk and Molita does try to go in and say, hello, please don't attack my Jax. As Nar is coming in towards the bot lane. Does jump over to the Rift Tower as they are fighting Bob Deep. Karuk and Molita needs to watch out. They don't have a ward onto this Nar as he does have Transform here. Padiko is going to get one shot by Kingslayer if he's not careful.
Yeah, and Nar's looking to possibly try to tower dive this. I don't think Zach realized that he could actually slam Sylas into the ward.
In the bot lane, they do hit the Rakan onto as the Ashe stun does come into Rocket Rocks and Remilia does pick up the kill. DYP2B is healing as much as he can, but the flash of Better South does pick up the kill onto the Ashe. Can Thresh pick this up? I'm not sure with the grand entrance again, but towards the top, Bubble Boy does pick up Padiko towards the top from that dive.
And it just went from a stagnant early laning phase, all of a sudden just kills all around the map. I can't even keep up with it. It certainly looks like Nah just threw out Qs, I guess. He only just transformed now, so he probably just threw out a Q and sniped him. He probably got poked down from Sylas's Q and then got sniped out by Nah. So it's unfortunate there. Jax is slowly falling further behind now. Doesn't have TP and Sylas still has TP. It's still fairly even in the mid lane here with just pokes going back and forth, but it'll be interesting to see if Zach can try to possibly pressure into this Orianna lane, try to get her ahead, and use her as the counterpoint against Sylas.
Yeah, and Jax without any lifesteal of any sorts on him right now means that he is going to consistently lose these trades and it's going to cost him. Always gets down low and they can't do anything towards the top lane, but the Ashe towards the bottom, I'm loving to see this aggression. They know which fights they can pick and they are actually picking them when they can. Finally getting that return kill is really starting to pay dividends, and if Ashe scales to the mid game with that damage, she's going to start dealing a lot of utility.
Yep, and she will... It seems like she's going to be building the Blather and King, so she's looking to do a more shredding build. She'll very much be able to kite out that Sylas and that Nara especially. However, if the Xayah or the Rakan can get onto her, and the Vel'Koz can get damage from behind, she can get melted pretty easily. She can't deal as much damage back. You can see at the Dragon Pit, they're just doing the Dragon.
Yeah, I am loving to see this. They do have wards onto this, but the Vel'Koz trying in as the Ashe immediately stuns him up. The TP is coming too late. Verikan does pick that one into Laser Cake as Rocky Rocks is trying to get something done. Stars does dodge, but the beautiful Orianna ultimate on two members of the team immediately exhaust onto Bobby Boop. Not enough damage on you. Zara is too late as basically they're in the back line.
Oh, Zach!
Stunned by as the Zach. But here we go. Bubble Candy 1v3 towards them. And shut down onto the Nah, and finally Titanic comes ahead on this great team fight 10 minutes into the game.
Wow, that was absolutely explosive, and it came out on top for the Titanic. It was actually a 4v5 that fight, and they just played it very well. They targeted people correctly. They were able to just keep the pressure down on who they need to keep pressure down. They got the dragon. They almost got it wrong. They almost missmited it. I saw Zach smited that had 40 HP left, and it took a Ashe auto attack, I believed. Trying to have a look who killed it. A Thresh auto attack to kill it, and Vel'Koz's ultimate came out only just afterwards. But then that big team fight afterwards where everyone teleported down, everyone clumped up together, but then Orianna got a huge ultimate. Zach was able to get a flash slam into their back line, and all of a sudden just that CC train and then the continuous Orianna and Ashe damage on top just meant that the Minecrafters couldn't keep up in that fight.
Yeah, and it's the great wombo combos on both sides. Both of these team fights are going to be so explosive. We're going to see action all over the place anytime these team fights happen around the Dragon side.
Yep, and it'll be interesting to see what we're going to get for the soul. So the next dragon we've got next is a Cloud. So thankfully we won't have a Cloud soul. Cloud soul can be quite boring, especially with both these team compositions. But if it's especially if it's an Infernal Dragon, the Minecrafters will utilize that very, very well with their Vel'Koz. As now fighting in the bot
Bubble
lane.
Boy is getting shit, but the grand entrance immediately onto the Ash. He is charmed. Zac immediately goes onto Rockrox in the backline, but not enough damage there. And this beautiful pick by Bubble Boy immediately going onto the Ash, and Karuka does get picked up as well. So beautiful picks here, putting on his carry pants.
The Zac passive is buying time though, and Ariana is coming down. She should be able to get this Xayah.
Beautiful TP down from Panico, immediately towards the background. It's the wombo combo shut down onto the Nah. They're biting off way more than they could chew. And when you least expect it, Panico comes in to clean up in the backline.
Amazing. What a really, really good TP. I didn't even notice the teleport there. I was so fixated on what the Orianna was going to do. All of a sudden, there was a Jax there jumping in the back as well. So yeah, all very, very explosive fights. A lot of these kills are getting put onto this Nah, who seems to be building the attack speed jungle item and then a Kindle Gem, which will most likely go into a Black Cleaver. So it'll be interesting to see if that gold lead he can actually convert into something, or if the gold being sunk into him would be a bit of a waste compared to, say, going into something like Xayah.
We're seeing Laser Cake biting off more than he can chew in the mid lane, getting in turret range, and Zac immediately chain CC, so overstepping his bounds there.
I wasn't even watching that one. Was he just taking out tower and then Zac just CC'd him into his minions? Did you see it?
That's it, stepping up way too forward, trying to take out turret damage, and Zac from the fog of war, bada bing bada boom, too much damage.
Yeah, and now Zac is 5-0-4, and if you look at the gold, he's just on the same point as Nah, who's also quite ahead. Zac can get so unbelievably tanky in the late games. He can build more and more tanky, he can extend out team fights, he can keep healing with his passive blobs over and over again. So he hasn't backed, he's sitting on 3k gold, so if there's a fight that breaks out, which I don't think there will be, they're seemingly trading side for side, but Zac needs to spend his gold lead before it actually becomes apparent that he's super ahead.
Yeah, and this is a huge trade, you know, rotating your bot all the way to Rift Tower in order to get that. They understand that Bubble Boy is really looking for dives in the bot lane as they do 3-man to try to take out that first turret towards the bot. And we're going to see if they do anything with Shelly, try to take some plates here and try to get first turret as they do summon him, and he isn't CC'd, so it does go through.
So bot lane's got about 1 plate left now. I think, yeah, they've almost killed it, but the minion wave is just pushed away from them. They've just killed it now. And turret plates have just fallen. So this will just open up the mid lane, which will allow them to get more vision around objectives especially. But the bot lane, it seems like they'll take that as well. So that will really, really help their vision game. The second turret won't be fully realized in their vision control until they have the other outer turrets to take away those defensive zones. But it'll be very, very good. They seem like they're just trying to make sure that it gets a second charge.
They're still currying him in, but he does die eventually.
Ash does not try to face tank the Vel'Koz Q and just lets Shelly take it, so Shelly dies there instead. They're looking possibly to do something up top.
Bob the Boot knows they're coming. He saw them running into the fog of war as Jax immediately goes in and an immediate Ash stun onto Karuka Molita, and he is CC. They should be able to pick up this top lane from the rotation as well.
Yep, and they're trading off the Cloud Drake, which is not a bad dragon to actually trade for. Cloud Drake will still be very strong on the Minecrafter size, especially on giving Vel'Koz his ultimate as quickly as possible. Also giving Rakanan's ultimate, because Rakanan is very, very reliant on his ultimate to do those sort of things. When it comes to things like Nah, when it comes to things like Sylas, who already has a very low cooldown on his ultimate, it won't be as useful. So it's not as universally useful as, say, an Infernal, as it seems like we're going to get an Infernal Dragon Soul this game. So that's very, very strong, especially on the Minecrafters when it comes to Xayah and Vel'Koz. But even if I say that, the Titanic can also utilize that incredibly strongly.
Yeah, and I'm loving this Titanic decisiveness because we were basically harsh on them during that first game. They didn't know what they'd do. They kept on losing the dragons in the mid game towards Bubble Boy. But this game, they're like, okay, you can take dragon. We're going to take 2 turrets in the top lane. So these decisive trades are keeping them in that gold lead, that 3k gold differential in the mid game. Let's see what they do with it.
Yeah, as you can see, we've got quite a gold lead forming for the mid laner of Titanic. It seems to, and also a bit of a gold lead for the top laner. It seems to be a little more even across each of the lanes there. So it's interesting to see that Xayah has kept up with that CS. So even though she's, and both of them have been more assisting in these team fights than securing those kills. So they're actually on fairly similar footing. However, I think Ash with her ultimate, actually, as we see in the bot lane, possibly Bear of the South getting caught out.
Bubba Boy is catching Varankard as Ash is trying to deal as much damage on Bellshower. Teleport's coming in again, and Varankard has to fight. The Grand Entrance does miss the Ash as Bubba Boy comes in. He is transported. Bobby Boop does come in, does miss, however, on the Abscond, Abduct as Bobby Boop does push in. And the Na ult on 3 people as that's coming into the backline, trying to deal damage onto the Xayah, but not enough damage towards the backline. Everyone is being deleted from the backside as Lasercake does make his way down towards the mid lane. And we're just seeing gold parity, double kill onto Xayah, triple kill, 900 gold shutdowns.
And just as we were saying that Titanic were playing teamfights through the hall, they unfortunately played that teamfight really, really poorly. They didn't focus correctly on who they wanted to go for. Unfortunately, because Varankard was getting chased down in the river by Bubba Boy, it would have been a lot more useful if Ash just turned and shot Nah, because Nah did not have anywhere near his rage form. And if they merely just backed off from the bot lane who was already running away and tried to jump at that Nah and get that teamfight rolling with a kill and a number differential, it would have been much better. Unfortunately, they spread out their damage onto multiple different people. And then when the Minecrafters came in, they all just jumped onto that Ashe. And once she was gone and the Orianna was gone, they just got absolutely annihilated in that fight.
Yeah, and we're seeing towards this game, basically whoever pulls that trigger first, gets that kill onto the AD carry, catches him out of position, is basically the person that wins that team fight. And we saw very early on, yes, the Jax did clean up, but once we've reached the mid game and everyone has these items to basically delete either the APCs or the ADCs, it's basically who pulls that trigger first.
Yep, and I believe the mid out to the turret is only just not going to fall. As you can see in the items, now Xayah is, I think, is she yet to back? Yeah, she's sitting on about 3k gold right now. She got denoted 3 of those kills out of the 4 in that team fight. So all of a sudden, she's quite ahead now compared to the Ashe. She's going to back, she's going to buy nearly a full item, I believe. It's interesting to see what she goes for. She might go for a Zeal item, which will be a full item, or if she tries to go for something like an Infinity Edge, she won't be able to buy all of it. We'll have to see. We should be able to tell just in a second. She's going for an Infinity Edge, so she won't be able to fully buy it, but she will be able to get quite a damage lead with another Infinity Edge, another BF sword and a pickaxe, as well as that Zeal. So she's very, very close to getting that eye edge.
Yeah, as we see the vision controls, the Ashe ultimate does come in onto the stun now. The Grand Entrance trying to go in. Thresh, Ori only gets the Bubble Boy as Body Boop does go in, and the Orianna doesn't deal enough damage as the Velko's coming in the backline. Varankard has to wall as Karok and Molta does try to pick it up, but Xayah in the background, too much damage picking up these kills, and Karok and Molta just has to run. And these kills that are coming through to the mid game, not enough damage on the Titanic to do these picks, is not paying dividends for them.
Yeah, and they've really got to group around this Zac. Zac rocking up late to these fights is not how you want these things to go. You want Zac to initiate, to spread out the enemy team, to really pressure into the, to really be able to pressure and CC down them. If your Jax, who only has a Mercury Treads, is up against a Xayah who's got basically 2 full items. So Jax has got no armor. He sat in the middle of, I think it was like an 8 feather pushback and got immediately deleted. And he wasn't able to get any CC down. They really have to play around this Zac, who's the only one currently that can frontline.
Yeah, and we're seeing the one item advantage on the side of the Xayah versus the Ashe really showing up in these pick and in these team fights. Dig Y, PTB, unable to actually put pressure. You can Ashe arrow all you want, but if you guys can't actually kill the Nah, you need to be saving those arrows for the Vel'Koz and for the Xayah, making sure that you can hit her without her ultimate. So as they push for this Infernal, spawning in 9 seconds, I think whether or not they lose this team fight 4-0 again is really going to decide the tides of this game.
Yep, and I can see Zac has actually gone for a Kindle Gem rather than Armor Boots. So he will still get fairly melted by Xayah. A lot of his defense is in his Spirit Visage. So Xayah will still do a lot of damage to him. It's interesting to see how they decide to play this
They
one
are
out.
just burning down this Inferno Drake as Karok and Molta does try to go into the back line. Jax is just pushing towards the top, so they do want to disengage. Karok and Molta might be the sacrifice as he is simply delaying them. Remilia is trying to stay. They do want to stop these backs as Bob D Boop is going into the 1v4. He does stop the backs. Varankard is getting killed by so much damage being pushed up, and no one can deal with them because they're just doing too much damage in team fights. But Jax does pick up that first inhibitor turret, but not the inhibitor itself.
Yeah, and I would almost recommend to not sort of take one of those inhibitors, as actually he's getting kited out by the Nah here with the Blade of the Ruined King. Actually, Jax has the Blade of the Ruined King, my
He
bad.
does jump in and kill Bubba Boop, and these guys in the 4 mid lane aren't backing, so Jax might be able to take the inhibitor. They are diving on Dig Y PTB, but they will lose that inhibitor, so he is electing to take that.
Yep. And losing inhibitor this early isn't too bad. You can just send someone back to collect those waves for about 5 minutes, and they get continuous gold funneled into them over and over again. And the Titanic will get all that gold basically denied towards them. However, it does give them a lot of lane pressure up in the top lane. And what these teams are looking at right now is the Baron, what they're going to do around the Baron, if they're going to try to fight around it. And if Minecrafters have to continuously deal with super minions running up in top lane and having to push someone over there to catch them, especially if you pardon me, especially if Silas doesn't have teleport, it'll be very, very hard for him to be able to answer the super minions plus a Baron fight.
Exactly, and I think at this state of the game, I don't think Titanic wants to fight. I really think that they just need to farm up. We're seeing Ash of 80 CS desires 142, about to get Flame Horizon, the second one in this tournament. I really think they just want to farm, get those items back up. You have a 4k gold deficit. You really can't pick any of these fights towards the mid game.
They were thinking about possibly trying something on Vel'Koz. However, I wouldn't. Yeah, fighting in around the dragon when the dragon is not spawning for another 30 minutes and you have a gold deficit is probably not the smartest idea. So they do decide to back up and just collect some farm, collect the sideways. Unfortunately, one lane will never be able to give them farm for the next 5 minutes with that inhibitor being pushed in, because as you can see, the minions on the Minecrafters side will continuously die, so the Titanic can't pick them up, and then Minecrafters will continuously get waves that are basically fully there and not denied at all, get delivered straight to them, so they can just keep collecting this gold and this XP advantage. So if the Titanic don't do anything with it, they've just kind of handed over a gold lead instead of utilizing that lane pressure.
Yeah, this is really going to look to see if the Titanic has been practicing their mid-game macro. They need to know and understand. They need to start putting vision towards this bot lane jungle. Go for that primary there in the bot lane, trying to get picks up in the bot. They need to send someone top to deal with the supers, otherwise it's going to go to inhibitor. As we see towards the blue side, Bubble Boy does try to go onto the Baron card, and Baron card just walks in and immediately gets charmed. Rocky Rock's just like, hello, Karakamota, please walk into my feathers. But he does get out, but the Gnar Q does come in, and Ash can do nothing.
And, you know, that's just, you saw how much damage Zai was doing to him. Zac still is not bought that Ninja Tabby, so he will continuously still end up getting shredded. He's opted to finalize his Warmog's armor, which I would be interesting to see if he actually has enough health to utilize its passive. He very much needs to try to go for that, that Ninja Tabby. He needs to have a percentage reduction against Zai's auto attacks plus against her attack damage if he wants to stay alive for longer than a couple seconds in these fights.
Yeah, but with top lane primary still up and Jack's the split pushing god in the bot lane, this is working out to be like one of my solo queue games where the top lane is tilted and all he does is split push, but it might just win them the game as Digby P2P immediately gets the ultimate onto the laser cake, but immediately Zaya, Rocky Rocks and Bubble Boy in the Vel'Koz turnaround deletes them.
And that's just unfortunately Rakan was still there and was just able to CC and follow up what was happening. And because Ash was standing still and not kiting around those fights, she wasn't able to dodge that Rakan CC. That's one of the reasons why you take Blade of the Ruined King on Ash, is so you can press 1 on someone and use that movement speed to kite. If you press 1 on someone and then don't move, there's no real point in using it.
They're trying to dive them into the mid lane there. Rocky Rock's dealing a lot of damage and rooted, but they're just kiting them around the turret. Bell the South biting off more than he can chew. Rocky Rocks does get that kill, and can't pick it up onto the Baron card. And Jax is just saying, hello, Bobby Boop, I can solo you any day. I am the split pushing god, as he does take out that bottom inhibitor. Bobby Boop is going to be shut down. And I think here, it is the split pushing god and the king, as Ash is just pushing down mid lane and he's saying, you guys have to run back to your base because I have Frost Shot and I'm going to make sure that you guys can't press B. And we might see an XPK special here throughout the mid games. Bubbly Poop is going to run and they are trying to get there.
Don't think he can end. He's he's committing a lot to it. I think he should really have backed. I think he's just gonna sacrifice his life just to get that amount of pressure. Now with 2 inhibitors, he almost got the kill onto Vel'Koz there, but with that pressure, they're actually pushing into the mid lane, and that's all 3 waves. Oh, does he die?
He does die. He does. He gets picked off by the Ash, and that's an easy Drake here. So onto the Drake immediately. And with these 2 inhibitors, that Jack split pushing Thresh. I don't want to get excited here, Twitch chat, but I'm seeing an XPK.
Yeah, and seeing that they now have all 3 lanes pushing because the top lane already had the supers coming in. Jack's pushed in that bot lane, and then the Titanic together as a 4 pushing that mid lane. They're very easily able just to kill the enemy jungler, rotate back to Dragon, Minecraft can't retaliate because they have to clear all these minions in their base. So it's a free dragon. It's leveled out the dragons. It has leveled out the gold lead for most part. We've still got a huge gold lead when it comes to the AD carry and the support. However, Jax is starting to pull ahead now, and Orianna's starting to pull ahead of Vel'Koz. So it'll be interesting to see if if Orianna can utilize that gold lead and probably put that ball onto Zac when he jumps in, and Zac can just utilize that ball, try to jump the Millennium team, slam them together, get the Orianna ultimate, get his ultimate, CC out the enemy team, and not allow Xayah to press ultimate.
And now they're just doing the Baron dance here. You got the bot lane, you know Xayah is there, the one source of damage, and you just jump on the laser cake, you can't really do anything. They're denying vision around that Drake. Let's see if anything happens here, and they might just go for it because they're too scared. Xayah doesn't really pop up, but they do kill the ward, which does grant them vision.
Yep, and as you can see, if we just look, the Minecrafters are slowly getting their vision choked out more and more. They're in their vision of their lanes and where they've just pushed up with that one ward there. They've got no idea what's happening with the Baron bushes. They've got no idea what's happening inside Baron. Xayah's just returning the favor by hard shoving in to try to match that pressure. And it looks like Titanic will not pull the trigger, which is probably smartest. They don't have the fastest Baron take, but they're just waiting on to see if someone comes and face checks.
They need to send more than just Rakan hitting this bot lane. The Thresh with the Death Sentence might try to pick off something, but with the Ashe with the Bork, they might be able to take out this Baron. I want to see them pull the trigger on something as Jax does go in and immediately pulls the Ashe arrow misses, but that doesn't even matter because Bubble Boy does get knocked out by the Jax in the back end, and with that, they might be able to turn and take the Baron. Or rotate somewhere. I think they're just going to rotate.
They might be trying to take the top inhibitor. It's just because Sylas still does have teleport, and Nar can build up that rage, and they still have Xayah alive. I think they're trying to pressure in and brute force with a numbers advantage, because if Xayah oversteps into a numbers advantage, even though she's very, very fed, she can still very easily die to a CC chain from Zac.
I really like this. They saw the Gnar in the mid lane, so they're saying, you know what, we're just going to take this inhibitor, and with 2 inhibs down, this pressure's ginormous, and I don't know if they're going to dive with on the Nexus turret, but I don't think this is a good fight, but we're going to see what's going to happen as Remilia does face check that. The Ashe Frost shots do help with that utility. Bubble Boy is going to transform to Mega Gnar here, and this one team fight that may end it all for either side here as we are pushing the base with 2 inhibitors down.
Yeah, Vel'Koz is back up now, so he's got his wave clear, he's got his pressure. They might be trying to look to Baron. They really have to sweep as they go through because there is vision here that's spotting them. So, yep, they've taken away the vision. Now Minecrafters have very little information about what's happening over at the Baron. It looks like they're just going for a pick though.
I don't understand this pick. They do see 3 members of their team, but they do jump immediately onto Laser Cake. They do want to get the Vel'Koz, puts that TP, that stopwatch down, but they are going to pick that up, and that should be a Baron for them. 2 inhibs and mid lane pick.
Yep, and he had his flash, but he just wasn't able to really use it as Jax takes away the bomb fruit from Orianna, making him walk all the way around. So yeah, now that Vel'Koz is down, he's not able to influence the team fights. He didn't really want to use his ultimate because even if he not ultimate, sorry, his flash, because even if he flashed away, he still would have died. And now they just can't face check. They don't have the anti-vision. They don't have that long range damage from Vel'Koz, and the Titanic just pick up the Baron as they're actually going on to Rakan.
They immediately do get the Rakan, and really beautiful pick there as they should be able to. But the TP coming in, you cannot cancel that right now. Bob Dibble got biting more than he can choose. Babe the Rubikin does slow him down. The Ashe says, you cannot run from me. I am an Ashe. 2 kills picked up with the Baron. This might be the end of the game.
Wow, and that was unfortunate with that TP. I think he thought the rest of his team was going to go in, but Xayah, with his Rakan caught out, really wanted to back away. That Ashe arrow from Dig there, I don't know how it hit Rakan. It looked like it was kind of going to the side of him, but it ended up hitting him. Remember, Riot is a small indie company, and sometimes small indie companies do make games with bugs, but it looks like they're just trying to go for the end push with their Baron.
That's it. They have a split here as they're immediately onto the Nexus. Rocky Rocks just says press W, kill Ashe, and they're biting off way more than they can chew. They split off their side laners there on the Panico and the Baron card. I don't know what was going on. They were trying to siege and split at the same time. They do pick up that bottom inhibitor as well, so they're going to have to back here, and I think that they might be able to contest around this Drake, but they are chasing here. I'm not sure if Dabbers...
Orianna is running out of mana. She has to flash away.
Flash onto the Bell of the South, and Bubble Boy is just saying, please slow them down. Patico is running for his life here, and if they pick up Patico, that's Drake for them pretty easily, I would assume.
Does have a
He
ward,
does
so you can just jump to it.
over.
Yep.
But double team on the jump over, and immediately Patico does pull up. Baron card
Ooh.
misses the Orianna ultimate completely, but the CC does come in. They do pick up Bomber Boy. Let's see if they have enough damage to take it before the jungler does get up, and they should, because Rocky Rocks does have that deadly plumage damage.
Yep. And Orianna and Jax had the right idea. Push in the rest of the minions, get the rest of the inhibitors. They should have really tried to brute force mid while Jax tried to go for that bot inhibitor. Unfortunately, they kind of got a little greedy. They saw glory in their eyes. They rushed down mid lane and jumped directly into the arms of awaiting Zyra and Vel'Koz. So they unfortunately gave up that lead there and gave over, I believe, all of their barons, if their baron hadn't already expired already. So it's quite unfortunate that they've fallen behind like that, and they had such an opportunity to get that mid lane tower, to get triple inhibitor, and then with triple inhibitor, it's so hard to walk out and fight.
Yeah, and we see this anxiousness all the time in the LCS. Teams talk about their scrim mindset and their on-stage mindset. And for UWAnime, it's the grand final mindset versus the group stage mindset. And when you see that nexus, you see that one turret, you just start to make these decisions like splitting your team 3-2 with Baron. And that cost them there, but we're going to see if they stabilize. It's not over for certain. And we saw the beautiful split push from Patico. No one can really 1v1 him. So let's see if they go back to that, as Baron is coming up in 3 minutes.
Yep. And as you can see, this lane, all three lanes are probably going to stagnate pretty hard. I don't think we're going to get many fights. Minecrafters are going to be pretty happy with just having those waves pushed into them over and over again. They can collect that gold pretty handsomely. Those waves will be pretty fully intact when they hit a safe collection zone. And on the other hand, Titanic is denying their own minions by having these supers kill all these waves. So they're already behind in gold, and they'll slowly drop more and more. Silas is picking up one side of their supers, and Zaya's picking up the other side. So if these two continue to get more and more gold, and continue to get more and more in the lead, they will just end up being more and more of a threat. As we see Jax just trying to pressure one lane.
It's all about putting the 4-1 pressure here on the sides. Get that Orianna. She does have 3 items. One of them is the Banshees though, but it should allow them to wave clear with the Ashe as well. Ashe is a really strong wave clear champion, especially with the Runans. And with that bot lane pressure, they might force a 4-1 split push, not in the favor for the Dabbers here.
Silas has picked up Ashe's ultimate, threatening that engage if they try to step too far forward. Jax is finding it quite hard to walk up in CS now, because Zaya with one auto attack or one QE can really start to shred his health bar, especially because he hasn't got any armor yet. So he will continue to get shredded. He really needs to get something like a Thorn Mail or a Dead Man's Plate before he can really step up against Zaya.
Yeah, and we're going to see this Baron fight in about 1 minute 40 as this dance and the denial vision comes through. I just want to point out Patico and Varenkard both do have teleport for this Baron fight. The bottom inhibitor is down with 1 turret back at the Nexus, about 25% HP. So they are going to push in here, just trying to see if they can get any siege picks here with the 4-1 split push. The Patico can 1v1 absolutely anyone, but the Rocky Rocks with the deadly plumage can basically one-shot anyone.
Yep. Except I don't think he can 1v1 Zaya yet, just because of the fact that she has her ultimate and he does not have any armor. With 1 armor item, he probably can, but for the moment, he really does get shredded, especially because he's got Mercury Treads. He doesn't have a percentage decrease of her auto attacks like our Zac does, so he'll find it harder and harder. But you can tell that they're very anxious to walk out of their base. Zaya placed a Scryer's Bloom basically directly in front of her, just over the wall, because she's very scared of Jax popping out and grabbing her, of the Thresh engage, of the Ashe engage. So they're all very on edge, and as you can see when I switch over the vision, they just don't have any forward vision. It's just their base and their top lane minions that are walking out, and that's it. They're very choked in. So we've got Baron coming up in 30 seconds. It'll be very interesting to see how each team will approach this.
I'm loving this beautiful dance here just around the top lane vision. Both teams just waiting for the trigger. You can tell there is just going to be one massive team fight that's just about to happen, fighting for this vision. Rakan face checks that bush, Bear of the South. No wards being able to get placed. Jax continuously pushing that top lane, daring anyone to come towards him. As we said before, Zai is the only one that can really stop him. Rakan going up there too, as they are continuing this elegant vision dance.
Yeah, and it looks like Titanic are possibly trying to move their vision control over to the bot lane. Actually, they're trying to go in on Na here, but he
Bubble
has
Boy
transformed.
immediately does get stunned. The Vel'Koz gets immediately CC'd, and they do pick up the laser cake damage. He has forced the stopwatch in the backline.
Oh.
Rocky Rock is dealing as much damage as possible. Immediately flashes out and ultimates, and not enough damage coming through onto the side of the Titanic. They have to run. The Xayah is just dealing too much damage, and once again, proving that they cannot engage on that Na.
And they just got shredded there. She almost died there, but she got a good ultimate off. She then flashed away. She repositioned herself. She pulled back those feathers. I saw what they were trying to do. They were trying to get an engage onto the jungler and back away to the dragon. They were trying to push their vision lead over to the dragon side. Unfortunately, they just really miscalculated how much they needed to do. And now the Minecrafters are sitting on an Infernal Soul.
Yeah, and we're seeing, the Banshee as well, third item purchased by the Orianna, the Ashe being behind by over 100 CS in the bot lane is really causing them not to deal these damage for these picks. And if you can't deal damage onto the picks, I think that you're just going to have to play for the split push potential, deny the vision, force them to face check bushes around the dragon and around the Baron, because like we saw just then, if they try to take these picks in the backline, one mega Na into the Vel'Koz ultimate as well. The Xayah coming into the backline. You can jump on the Xayah all you want, but all she does is press one button and that Featherstorm gets her out of there. As we see, they are continuously trying to fight around the Baron Pit again as well.
Apologies, I muted my mic to take a drink of water and then I forgot that I did not unmute it. But yeah, it's very interesting to see how they play this around. Xayah is sitting on a lot of AD right now, plus that Infernal Soul. Her auto attacks alone are dealing about nearly a K damage as
we're seeing an immediate push onto Remilia. They know that Jax is pushing in towards the background and they want to pull the trigger onto that. We're seeing immediately DigYPTB getting hit by the Silas jumping in. Barancard's running for his life, dumping out of it. The Jax is pushing in. They will lose an inhibitor. Vel'Koz is going back, and they do have to back away from this. The Na is continually pushing against Barancard as he does have to jump over towards the Baron side. He isn't safe there, but they do pick up that inhib. And Karuka Mota is immediately jumping in and immediately jump. The Xayah does have his ultimate back up, and the Jax is roosted out in front of the Nexus. Patico doesn't have enough damage. He gets picked up. He dives the fountain, takes too much damage there, and this weird split push might be able to cost them as Orianna is continuously being chased. And I'm not sure what's going on. Both teams are rotating these really, really weird rotations, but Bobby Boop does pick up that mid lane, and they should be able to get this mid lane inhibitor.
So Ashe and Orianna were trying to stall the backs of the rest of the team to try to give Jax and Zac that push forward. Unfortunately, Zac is not the best split pusher. He doesn't do a whole lot of damage to towers, and he wasn't able to get his CC onto Xayah. So Xayah was able to just free fire onto the Jax. She was able to use her ultimate to get distance from him. Once his Q was down, he wasn't able to keep chasing her up because she gets all that movement speed.
Yeah. And look, at this rate, with the amount of damage on the side of that Xayah, 14-3-15 with the Baron, they have the mid inhibitor down to circumvent the pressure there. I think they're just going to want to siege, push out that bot lane with the inhibitor that's against you, making sure that, they have the vision around the top jungle so Jax can't do any crazy XPK antics. And with that, I don't think they have enough damage for the Xayah, but let's see what happens.
Yep, I was just seeing. So they've got the Infernal Soul, they've got that Baron. They're missing the Elder, but it's about 3 minutes away. It'll be interesting to see if they just really try to rush in, if they try to play it slow with a vision dance and try to split push different waves and take Infernal and use that to try to win the game. It was very interesting to see. They're trying to move forward and get vision control around bot side. They're trying to break that bot tower, trying to pressure down that only wave that has the super minions. And Xayah's trying to just absolutely shred super minions now.
This is going to be a testament to whether or not Titanic can wave clear here. Whether they can hold and disengage with Remilius, Flesh, Flays, and the box. This death sentence isn't going to do anything. They need to run. Jax is just slowly pushing up that top lane. With this Baron buff, if they have enough wave clear, they can stop this. They are pushing and pressuring that mid lane as well. But Veil of the South does go in. Immediately Ashe tries to stun someone again. Remilia goes in towards the backline. Bobby Boop does miss that as well. DigYPTB just has to run. They do get Rocky Rocks onto that kill, onto the thresh. Karaoke Mota has to try and stun. Does stun Bubble Boy and Bobby Boop. But the damage coming on the side of Rocky Rocks is too much. And in the background, the Vel'Koz is just dealing too much damage from the laser on the side of Laser Cake. And they are going to take game 1 of the series over to the Epic Minecraft Devils.
Oh, what a game that went from one team looking like they had a definite win to another team and then back again. So, in the end, Minecrafters take it and take us to game 2. So, Titanic will have the side selection. And as we just jump into the post game here, we can see. I'm very interested to see Zaya's damage. Oh my. That is a very lot of damage. 41k, basically doubling the next highest damage dealer on Titanic's side.
Definitely, and we saw him pick Zaya in this tournament as well, so I think they are going to respect that. We're going to see what's going to happen in the next pick ban phase, but we saw a back and forth tug of war. Really, anyone can still win it, and I can't wait to see whether or not Titanic can have a chat amongst their team, listen to their coach, take that feedback on board, and let's see what happens in this next game.
Yeah, and it'll be quite interesting to see how they'll draft around it, if they're really just going to let that Zyra come back through again, because that was such a strong, defining pick in those fights.
I think we'll go to a short break here as we get the team set up for the next game. Stay tuned and don't leave your seats as we are going in to the second game of the UWAnime Grand Finals.
Legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you bleed for reaching greatness, relentless, you survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. It's deep in their bones, they'll ride into smoke when the fire is fierce. No, pick yourself up, 'cause legends never
And welcome back to the second game in the best of three of the UWAnime final. I am your host again, Daedric Zeus, and my co-host here with me, Savage. How do you feel about that great first game?
The back and forth games. It was truly the game where both teams adapted to each other's strategies. We had these explosive team fights throughout the early and mid game. We had the split pushing Jax that no one could really stop, but in the end, the Xayah damage is just too much.
Yeah, and unfortunately for the Titanic, they just didn't itemize against it when they could have. In those mid-game fights where they had that spare gold, they could have bought those Bramble Vests or Ninja Tabbies, and it would have really reduced her damage. It would have allowed them to get on top of her, survive in the team fights more. They decided to either build towards magic resist or build more offensively, and they ended up getting melted in those fights and unfortunately losing that game.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of the lane matchups went quite even towards the top lane. A lot of fights happening between the Jax and the Sylas. Towards the bottom lane, just these pickups in the mid game just meant the Xayah just got these shutdowns. And when she got that 900 gold 4-0 shutdown with the triple kill, that was when she exploded. So I'll be interested to see, both teams coming out of lane phase are head to head. They're relatively even. It's just these mid game explosive team fights where one team just swings towards the other.
Yeah, and it's just a thing of so many back and forth. All these fights seem to be so even. There was some that were complete wipes on Titanic side. There were some that complete wipes on Minecraft side. So it's quite interesting to see because both of them built very team fighting comps. And once it got to that stage, at that point, it was just whoever could basically start the fight the first against the right people. Unfortunately for Titanic, they started their fights up against a Nah who had got rage most of the time, and so then Nah would just turn around and be like, "Okay, just presses R into the enemy team," sort of thing. So it was certainly around their picking compared to when Minecraft would start a fight. They would jump onto the Orianna or they'd jump onto that Jax with Xayah, but seeing that he wasn't building that armor, and that front line would dissipate, or that back line they jumped on would dissipate, and all of a sudden that team composition from the Titanic just fell apart.
Yeah, that's it. And I'm excited to see what happens in this pick ban phase. Those two that they desire through, they do pick up that Graves ban as well. So as we go into pick ban, let's see what happens.
Sweet. And as we can see, once again, the Graves has been banned outright. So, Titanic, as they lost, they got side selection, so they chose blue again. And so we see the Graves ban up against Bubba Boy. We see the Viger taken away from Baron Card. We see the Zerath taken away from Laser Cake. So fairly standard bans to what we had in the first game.
Yeah, we're just seeing both teams just sticking to their roots, but the Jax ban does come in. They don't want to deal with the split pusher again.
No, and he was an absolute menace. He was so hard for them to deal with. He opened up two of their side lanes completely and made it so hard for them when they got those random wins in their mid game when the back and forth was happening and when they got their wins, because Jax really got those leads in the side lanes. They couldn't push those leads into a whole bunch of towers and a whole bunch of map pressure because they had to back and deal with the Jax. As you can see, the Xayah has been banned.
I respect a ban there, knowing that Rocky Rocks is crazy on this Xayah. Let's see if they do pick up the Jhin ban as well, because we've seen he can perform on Jhin as well.
Yep, so we've got the Nautilus banned up against Titanic. Once again, just taking away that very solid pick from their support. It's interesting to see if they go with a support pick, if they try to flex. They're actually going to lock in that Misfortune. So blue side is very, very good on getting an early priority pick that you really want, but it also kind of puts your team composition face up. You know that their Titanic will want to draft around, so it'll be very interesting to see what they want to do as the Jhin and the Morgana gets locked in.
And we're seeing the Rocky Rocks Bear of the South special with the deadly flourishes and the dark blindings and the black shields preventing any sort of gank, so they do lock in that comfort pick in this tournament once again.
And it'll be very, very strong pick if they can catch Misfortune, because Misfortune doesn't have mobility, she doesn't have well, she has a speed up, but if she gets hit by that, she doesn't have an Ezreal E, she doesn't have the Vayne Q, that she doesn't have an easy way to dodge things. They're not sure what they want to pick with their supports. They're tossing up on either safe or defensive ones. But it looks like they're probably going to lock in the Thresh. They're going to hit lock in time. They are. Okay. So they're locked in the Thresh. They were hovering a whole bunch of different types of AD carry, of support. So they're looking to protect the Misfortune, where they're looking to really go in. Thresh is a nice in between. Rakan is very just run straight in, and if he gets his engage stopped, he's quite useless. And if you play someone like Janna, if your AD carry is very behind, there's no point in being a super protective support if you're protecting something that's quite worthless to your team.
Yep, and Laser Cake is picking up that Lissandra in the mid lane. Hasn't picked it all tournament thus far, but I will say that looking at his solo queue statistics, he does actually play Lissandra quite a bit in solo queue. So we're going to see a pocket pick right there on the side of the Dabbers.
Yeah, because that's been banned away from them a couple times in the previous games, especially even that first game that was just played before it got banned away from them. So it's interesting how they like to use it. It'll be very much, she's not a super damage mid laner anymore like as she used to be. They nerfed the numbers a bit. She's certainly a lot more utility now, but she still is very strong in setting up fights, and the respect ban away from the Gnar jungle.
The tankiness of that Gnar, being able to mega Gnar essentially into the backline, forcing the turnarounds on these team fights and allowing them to just deal the damage from the AD carries, respecting that damage.
So these bans from the Minecrafters are looking to take away from the mid laners' champion pool. However, I'll leave until the end, but they're trying to chip away at the champion pools. We've got quite a couple. We've got the Veigar, the Lux, the Orianna, and then also on the other side we've got the Xerath, who Varankard, I believe, also did play the Xerath. No, he played the Vel'Koz, sorry. But it's just taking away all of those sort of mid laners, trying to see what else he can do with it.
To see Bubba Boy, let's see what the boy picks up. Strong on basically every champion we've seen in the jungle. And this Amumu or this J4 is going to be really great engage on the side of the Dabbers.
Yep, and it's very strong with his engage. However, normally Jarvans will build quite tanky, so he will start to fall off. He really wants to be in the melee team fights. Jarvans can also build full lethality damage. They do a lot of damage, but the second that the enemy team builds armor or has a decent amount of anti-CC, like the Trundle and the Thresh who can just pillar or flay, he can really get melted. As the Vel'Koz comes in, I was about to say, I wonder if the Vel'Koz is going to be left open, but they do leave it open, and Varankard does pick it up.
Yeah, Vel'Koz a hotly contested pick throughout this entire tournament series. We've seen Vel'Kozes on every single side that has one, picking up so many kills with that ultimate in the backline, cleaning up those team fights. As Patico's picking, let's see what he chooses to go towards that top.
He might be trying to go for another split pushing pick, but he decides to go into the Rumble. Very ability power heavy team comp there, but Trundle should try to make up for it, trying to do the physical damage alongside Misfortune.
Yeah, they want to go for that wombo combo there, the bullet time with the Rumble equalizer as well. But on the side of the Dabbers, they respect this. They've picked a lot of heavy engaged CC champions here on the Pantheon, on the J4, and on the Lissandra. Let's see if the Titanic can actually deal with that sort of pressure.
Yep, it's very strong. I really like the Pantheon pickup. He has a lot of global pressure, especially because he'll normally take teleport as well. So not only does he have his teleport, that allows him to be more viable in his lane, which gives him recalls and resets, like basically a fresh reset. He also has his ultimate to be able to follow up on those mid roams. Pardon me. So yeah, but the only problem is that Jarvan will most likely build tank and he will fall off. Pantheon will start to fall off in the mid to late game. Lissandra doesn't do a whole lot of damage. She's very CC related. So their team is very CC related, but a lot of their damage is going to be very based around whether Jhin can navigate these team fights.
Yeah, and the peak potential on the Deadly Flourish as well. We've seen it time and time again on this tournament. Rocky Rocks will CC you from 2 screens away, basically like a Zoe. Hello, Riders. But we're going to see what happens here as we are waiting for spectator delay with 3 minutes to go. How do you think this one's going to play out?
Both team comps again are very much looking to team fight. However, Titanic are very much looking to have... Minecraft is very much looking at that full-on engage. Morgana wants to be very in the face of the enemy. Lissandra does, Jarvan does, Pantheon does. And then Jhin wants to have a black shield put on him so he can just navigate the backline stress-free. The Titanic's picks are more based around having that answer to a team fight as well as having a bit of a defensive strategy with the Trundle and with the Thresh. So part of it is they have other options, but the other part of it is their strength of their team fight, just purely champions wise, isn't as strong as the Minecraft Dabbers. So if they choose to only team fight, it can start to become a problem.
Yeah, and we saw in that last game as well, once you hit punch for punch in all these team fights and they start to swing widely in another team's favor, you really got to disengage. You can't team fight at all, and you got to go to that split push potential. Here on the side of the Titanic, I'm not sure if they can do that with the Rumble unless he gets really far ahead this game, but we're going to see how this turns out. And if they do pick up these mid-game team fights, they do start to pick up those dragons. Again, falling behind that dragon pressure that Bubba Boy does push out, means that those souls really do deal a lot of damage.
Yep, and apart from Trundle, Titanic will find it hard to have a frontliner. Trundle will have a lot of good ultimate options. Lissandra will most likely take Aftershock, so Lissandra has her Aftershock on. Rumble can ultimate her and get a lot of defenses. Jarvan will most likely build quite tanky and maybe even go into the Gargoyle Stoneplate. So if he jumps in the middle of a team fight, pops his Gargoyle Stoneplate, Trundle can press R on him and get incredibly tanky. But the problem is, will he be allowed to get into these fights? Because the main problem that Trundle will face is CC. That's one of his banes of his existence, is clumped CC on top of him, because he can't survive in those fights unless he can navigate around them, continuously moving, continuously chomping people and whatnot. So, and seeing that Minecraft's comp is very, very CC heavy, he may just get comboed down.
Yeah, and we saw in that last fight as well, you know, you have so many threats on the side of the dabbers, and if you don't deal enough damage, you start to fall behind. If Rumble falls behind in the top game, Misfortune obviously can get dove, and the majority of her damage is gone there from that bullet time in those team fights. If you don't have enough damage to chump out this J4, this Pantheon, this Lissandra, and this Jhin, Rocky Rock's in the background, just going to be dancing, and if no one touches him, he's just going to pick up all of those kills, like he did on Xayah back in game 1.
Yep. But even though Morgana has got that black shield that's very anti-CC, if they're in a tight corridor, Trundle's pillar will still just block Jhin from being able to move past it. So even with a black shield, a really, really well-placed pillar can really mess Jin's timing up. As we should be jumping into game now, we'll jump over to the screen. Stream, you just see a black screen for a bit, but it should jump into the game properly in a couple of seconds.
As we are all loading into champion load screens here, we're going to see what runes and masteries they do pick up. And once again, we see a Dark Harvest on Jhin. He has brought that out in this tournament before and played quite well with that Dark Harvest.
Yeah. So taking Dark Harvest as Jhin very much means you want to have lane pressure, you want to build quite heavy damage early. Normally going to the Infinity Edge straight off the bat. I normally see either Infinity Edge or Essence Reaper time, but trying to really get that flat AD, getting the bounces with your Qs that gets more and more damage the more units it kills. And all of a sudden it jumps into the immediate, it bounces to the immediate carry, and it takes off like half the HP. So he's really trying to pressure that lead. So he won't have as much kiting, but he's trying to make up for it by having that Morgana that can black shield him and keep him safe while he can't kite as fast.
Yep, and we do see an exhaust brought in by the Remilia again, respecting the damage output. Remilia has been preferring that exhaust throughout this in tournament thus far. On the side of the runes as well, we have double pressure attack from Misfortune and the Trundle as well, so they should be able to shred these tanky type champions on the side of the dabbers.
Sweet, I'll just drop our cameras for a second just so stream can just see all of the runes. I realized I left it up. Like I said, runes and masteries, I can tell that you've been playing it for quite a while like I have, where runes and masteries used to be two separate things. I think that was changed in Season 7, Season 8. That was quite a while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, indeed.
And as we should be loading in any second now. We can definitely see Trundle's gone for that press the attack, so he's very much looking for that getting press the attack early in those fights, trying to back up his team's damage and trying to follow up. So he's not looking for that late game power of Conqueror. He's just looking to just compliment his team. Where I'm in and I'm 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yep, we're the same.
Sweet. I'll chuck our cameras back on. Sweet. And we are in.
And I can't wait to see what happens here, as we saw that beautiful invade on the side of the Titanic that first game, picking up the kill onto the Yash. They did transform this into a couple of kills into the bot lane towards the mid game, and we're going to see if they do some fancy invade again this game.
So it looks like Minecraft is mostly fanning out, even though Morgana is looking kind of forward. She's just trying to watch that part there. She's just trying to watch that entrance just to make sure she sees it now.
We see the 5-man stack again, but Remilia immediately tries to place distance, but the binding does get him in Morgana. Flash for flash we have here. Nothing doing as they do go back to their jungle camps.
So now, because of that minion, because of that ward kill, Rumble will actually get level 2 1 minion earlier than planned. So it's the small leads. It's the small leads.
And we saw the game of inches in that first game where basically the lane, where the lane was in the side of the top lane, caused Jax to take so much damage on the side of Paddy. As Paddyco is stepping up and face checking this bush, Bob D Boop does lay down the damage as he has to flash immediately, but they are unable to pick up the kill. They do know that they're there taking the jungle. The wards do come out, and that should be an easy pickup on the side of Dallas.
Yep, and he's gonna have to expend his teleport there, so that also gives Pantheon that teleport lead, which would be very, very strong. As you can see, Morgana and Jhin, they pulled the lane into pushing towards them. So interesting to see if they utilize that. Let's see if Morgana can hit a Q.
She does immediately run up and again like a magnet, but the Death Sentence is pushed on Rocky Rocks, is forced to flash as dig by PTP, laying that damage with her love taps immediately. Beautiful trade coming in.
And that was just unfortunate there that they should have taken the Morgana Q into about auto attack Jhin or Jhin auto into a Q and then walk away. You've taken off about 200 of Misfortune's HP and you just leave it as that. They really wanted to keep pushing the agenda. They got the hook down onto, they got the Dark Binding down to the Thresh and they thought they could push it further, but unfortunately for them, it turned out into Jhin losing his flash in a matchup where he really does not want to have his flash down.
We're going to see Remilia again taking another Dark Binding there earlier, and he is like a magnet to these things. I don't think he's dodged a single one this game. We're going to see what happens though, as Trundle is looking for something. Karaka Molta coming in for his first game.
Both junglers initiate a vertical jungling. Oh, what a pillar.
There's immediately a beautiful pillar, immediately starting on Barrel South, and the damage is coming through. Digby PDP trying to deal damage, but Remilia does pick that up. And that is first blood going over to the support.
And very good, just putting that pillar out to force Jhin to use heal to run away to negate that slowdown. And then they were like, oh wait, that's right, Morgana has no flash because of the crazy level 1 play we tried to make. So all of a sudden, they've just capitalized on it. They're slowly getting that Misfortune's lane ahead. Jin's finding it very hard to farm. And because of that lane split where Jarvan went top and got that flash out of Paddyco, as he's actually, Paddyco almost dying in the top lane, being pushed out of the lane,
unfortunately. He is immediately chunked out by the Pantheon Comet Spear, as Bob D Boop showing once again that the Brown of pressure, as he does pick up the snipe on the Paddyco. No respect there for the top laner.
And that was because instead of choosing to back and then teleport when that first play happened where he got nearly killed, actually in the mid lane we do see.
And in the mid lane, immediate double gank here as Karagamota and Bubba Boy coming in for something there, but nothing doing, no real kills there in the mid lane.
Yeah, and so in the top lane there, instead of choosing to teleport straight out the bat after getting put behind that hard, he decided to keep his teleport and walk all the way back to lane, and eventually got to the point where he was like a kill or two behind, a level or two behind Pantheon. And Pantheon gets a level lead and gets base stats, he gets really, really strong. Jhin not actually using his force shot to Misfortune, so he's losing that trade there as well. Very, very scary for Jhin and Morgana to be stepping up here, as the threat of Thresh is getting worse and worse by the second as they still don't have their flashes up.
Beautiful love taps and double up by Misfortune, forcing this Jhin down to 50% HP. The wave is pushing against them. They should be able to easily take these under turret. But we're seeing once again the strength of this Titanic bot lane. They're always able to meet the pressure of Rocky Rocks. It's only the mid-game fights, you know. You might think Xayah in the last game so much damage, but it's really only the mid-game fights where he starts getting the shutdown. Does Rocky Rocks get ahead? In the 2v2, they break even neck and neck in the bot lane.
Yeah, and you know, they're just trading back and forth. Jhin is having to step back. They've got their wave frozen outside of the Titanic's towers. They're really playing this quite well. They're really just getting that pressure on. The wave will slowly push back. They might still be able to keep this freeze, but I think we'll slowly end up pushing back. But just Jhin being denied this way, he hasn't chosen to recall. He's sitting currently on 840 gold, so he could back and try to get a pickaxe, but he's deciding to stay. His minions are slowly pushing back into him though, so he should be able to collect some minions there.
Yeah, we're seeing Rocky Rocks with the 50% HP, can't really step up. Remilia's death sentences have been on point this series, no nervousness from him, ready to take on these kills in the 2v2 out in the bot lane.
Sometimes targeting a little bit of the wrong person with the death sentences, but yes, very on point nonetheless. Sometimes hooking a null when he shouldn't, but apart from that, it was very, very, very strong. Yeah, and you should see more of the pressure there. Top is stabilizing out a little bit more, but Padiko unfortunately has got his wave in a bit of an awkward spot. It is slow pushing back into him, as Jarvan is possibly looking to gank him, but he just took out a pink ward and just decided to walk off, seeing that they knew he was there.
Yeah, we do see basically every lane is evenly matched up, but a slight lead towards the Pantheon on Bobdi Boop on the Dabbers side in the top lane. That CS advantage might cause some issues as Pantheon is really great in that mid game, and we saw him snipe Patico. Let's see if they do anything up in the top lane again.
Yeah, and you know, these lanes playing fairly stagnant, which is what we were saying before in the last game. All of a sudden, everything exploded at once. It'll be interesting to see as Patico is getting chased down a little bit, but it's just been trading back and forth. No real kill threat right now anymore.
Yeah, every single time I end up saying that the game is reaching a bit of a lull, there seems to be explosive fights towards the top and the bot. As we see, Trundle here might be looking for a gank towards the bot side, as in the top side as well.
Pantheon
pushing,
forcing
Rumble
out
under
Paddy's
turret.
flash. Yeah, forcing out his flash. Rumble took a bad trade into a fairly stacked minion wave, so not only did he take the Pantheon damage, but then also ended up taking all of that extra minion damage on top. So Pantheon has his ultimate, as well as a teleport lead. He's starting to become very scary now, even though in bot lane's quite behind, and Jin almost dying here actually.
Rocks with no, as the flash comes in for Amelia, can they get Destined Spell Immune there from the Black Shield, so they don't pick up that kill, but Dig Y PTB showing once again that he can stand up to them in the bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, if Thresher's trying to go that aggressive, he should really be trying to just go for that, ignite and trying to like pressure out the heals and whatnot. Him having the him having an exhaust, it might be quite useful here though, seeing that
Pantheon immediately ultimates in onto Vermilion and gets the kill as Bubble Boy does run him down. Can he get the double knock up onto the J4? He is exhausted, so isn't able to pick up the damage onto the MF. Doesn't actually, is able to actually get out, as Pantheon easily picks up that helpful gank towards the bot lane.
Yeah, and as I said before, the second that Pantheon hits that level 6 mark, he becomes very strong in his roam potential. And he's not even bothering to use the teleport to get back to lane to catch that big mini wave. He's just wanting to see if he can push the agenda further. However, he is on vision.
Brian card there is chunked to 50% HP, but relatively safe as well, because as on the side of the Dabbers, they weren't able to actually take that Dragon, maybe a little too low levels, don't think that they can take with the damage that they have, respecting that Titanic is on the side with their jungler nowhere in sight.
Yep, and both mid laners. Actually, Lyssandra's realized that her enemy mid laner has backed, so she's trying to shove it back out. It is a counter wave, so it's a little hard for her to shove it. She should really be trying to use all of her abilities. I don't think that it will freeze though. I think she has successfully pushed it, so she'll be able to get a bit of a better back. But Vel'Koz won't lose too many minions because it's a counter wave. Counter waves last so long in front of towers.
Yep, and we're seeing once again towards the bot lane, even with that gank, Rocky Rox and Morgana playing about half a screen away from the line of scrimmage there in the bot. Whereas in the top, the line of scrimmage has moved once again to Patico's turret, and we might see another epic snipe from that Comet Spear once again.
That pressure's slowly mounting. I mean, he does have an anti-dive thing where if he thinks that Jarvan's trying to go for him, he can just press R on that mini wave and try to wipe the whole thing and not let them walk up. But Vel'Koz is possibly trying to look for something here in mid lane, but this mid game here is certainly looking a little bit less favorable. Actually, is
Boy and Bobdi both running down to try to catch as the beautiful flash stun onto the Vel'Koz. Baron Khan immediately ultimates and the damage is coming out onto Bubble Boy. He doesn't flash out. They're biting off more than they can chew as Patico does come in. Bobdi Boop, can he pick up the double kill here? The equalizer does come in. Bobdi Boop dealing too much damage, but not enough damage coming on the side of Baron Khan to help trade that. Bobdi Boop, can he 1v2 here? Baron Khan and Bobdi Boop, this is crazy. Can he pick up the Q? No, he doesn't. And this is a beautiful dance as Laser is coming into the backline. Lysandra says, hello there, Vel'Koz. I'm going to pick up this kill with the ignite.
That's unfortunate.
The bot side, they're pushing up as Vermilion is trying to get a snare onto the body, but beautiful pillar onto the Rumble, forces the flash out of the bell of the south, and we're seeing action all over the map as they are continuing to try to pressure that Drake, and they do actually end up getting it on the side of the Titanic.
That was so close. One Vel'Koz Q just missed, and because of that, it really forced us. Morgana might be overstepping her bounds here.
Definitely is, but the ultimate on throw immediately dies, and it's a 3v2 situation onto the spot side, immediately risked by the Deadly Flourish, as Bubble Boy immediately EQ combos onto Karakamoto.
Misfortune still has her ultimate.
The kill.
She really needs to press it.
PvP in the back. Padiko is trying to get the counter kills, but it's immediately stunned up by this Laser Cake ultimate as Pantheon does come in immediately, and Padiko is going to get bursted down there, and a trade 4 kills to 1 on the side of the Dabbers picking up the fight.
And Misfortune just held onto her ultimate just for a little bit, just held onto it for a little bit too long there. She could have the second that Jarvan CC came out, they had no more CC to stop her ultimate. She waited until she got trapped in Jarvan's ultimate, and then also took a Jin Q before she pressed her. At that point, she was only able to get about 2 waves of damage out before she got killed by the rest of the damage there. So if she pressed it earlier, she could have really made damage. She's actually getting caught out here.
And Bobby Boop is looking so scary here. The Destiny is coming onto the bubble over. It might be too little too late as Bobby Boop with the 4 kills pick up, but Velkoz's ultimate is just dealing so much damage. You saw how much damage that dealt before in that previous pick. Varankard on the 25% HP as Remilia is moving up, but Bobby Boop is chunked down by Velkoz. Dustin doesn't land as Laser Cake is trying to root him. Can they burst down this Remilia too far? The Velkoz still has a lot of mana as they're playing the poke game out towards the bot side, and they're still playing as Bobby Boo is looking for something here. We're going to see if any kills get picked up towards the bot lane.
It's so tense there. I saw Thresher's just trying to look for those opportunities for those hooks. He is actually kind of maxing hook and E first. He doesn't have as many. Sorry, not hooking. He's maxing E first. Sorry, I'm mixing up my words here. So he didn't have that cooldown on his Q that he could have probably had a little earlier in the game, which then would have meant he may have been able to hit a secondary hook there, but it would have been on cooldown throughout that entire fight.
I love seeing this turnaround by Kairoka Malta. We saw in the first game that all these objectives were getting taken by Bubble Boy, but now he's also picked up that Rift Herald, knowing that Bubble Boy did have an awkward back timing there as they were pushed out towards the bot lane. We're going to see, though, this Pantheon with the 5 kills and 500 gold bounty, this is his time to shine towards that earlier mid-game, picking up so many kills with his ultimate. If he puts up too much pressure and doesn't let go, this game might snowball out of control.
Yeah, indeed, and just so you can see the dance slowly happening as Jarvan looking for something up in top lane, but he is a little bit down in experience, but he has got that level lead on his top laner to back him up there. As they just zoned him out, he was on vision, and they just had to back away. Jarvan hasn't actually changed into a sweep yet, so he doesn't know if he's walking over vision, which is quite interesting that he hasn't decided to change.
Yeah, with that, Bobby Boop on the Pantheon is so strong with the flash stun. I think every time he's had his flash up, he's gotten a kill. Right now, with a minute left, they weren't able to make anything happen towards that Rumble in the top lane, but he is getting pressured here. 5 kills to 0, he can't really do anything. Thresh has the support, but Digby PDB is holding his own against this bot lane with Trundle waiting in the wings.
Yep, and actually Petticoat is getting engaged on right now.
And we're going to see the battle of the top lane as Remilia is going up to support. With the 5-0 Bobby Boot, he might be able to 1v2 here as immediately going around. Destinance does miss, but the 3v1 and the exhaust coming in on the Bobby Boot. Not enough damage with that exhaust, mate. But once again, the Thresh is just picking up these shutdown kills. It's a mistake, but J4 is immediately flashing onto the Digby PDB. He immediately flashes out towards her. Daily Flash is going on to Misfortune, but finally does get out of there. So luckily for bot lane, flashes available, but they do pick up the kill onto that Morgana.
Yep, they do end up getting that Morgana with a very good Trundle pillar. So it's very unfortunate that Thresh did end up getting that shutdown, because it would have been huge to put onto Rumble. He really wants to try to get that first item. He wants to try to get that Leandri's Torment and start winning those mid-game team fights. So Thresh getting ahead does mean he can get things like Knight's Vow pretty quickly, which means he can try to keep his AD carry alive. But if the AD carry doesn't have a whole lot of damage behind her, there's no real point in having that gold lean on a support, just trying to keep her alive.
Yeah, and with so much of the gold stacked on the Pantheon, with that 5-0 picking up every kill, a champion that doesn't really scale very well towards the late game. I think as long as Titanic can hold on, if they don't take these weird mid-game fights around the Dragon Pit where they're losing 4 members to 0 and the Drake as well, I think we're in for the long haul, and I think they're just going to outscale, but let's see what happens in this game.
Yeah, and Dragon is coming back up. Both top laners do not have teleport, but Pantheon does have his ultimate and his push advantage. His ultimate range, I believe, would probably get him from just before mid lane into the Dragon Pit, but Jarvan is actually looking for something down in bot here.
Yeah, and we saw no flash, but the Destiners might be able to play as waiting in the mist was Karuka Molta immediately in the background onto the Bubble Boy. The Chomp does come down onto the J4. The Sandra in the background, and Rocky Box does have so much damage, dealing so much, and Laser Cake does pick it up. They do kill down the Trundle with the shutdown coming over to Morgana.
And Trundle thought that they had that Jin there in the backline. They thought they'd be able to kill him while he goes out and kills that the rest of the team. But unfortunately for him, Jin was able to live through that fight and kill the Misfortune. Misfortune was not able to get her ultimate out. So instead of turning
Beautiful
around...
shutdown onto the Jin from the Vel'Koz, overstaying his welcome. Varanka with the barrier. Can he pick up the Bumble Boy as well? Beautiful
Ooh.
flash in order to dodge the AA from the J4 as the Thresh comes in to support the Descendants. That's 2 kills picked up, and I don't think they can take the Dragon anymore. Varanka putting his team on his back, stopping that Dragon play.
That was very, very good. Good snipes, good flash away from the Pantheon. As just all... sorry, not Pantheon, the Jarvan. So all around very, very good there. Which is unfortunate before, as I was saying, that instead of Trundle aiming for that confirmed kill of that Jin that was stepping too far forward, he instead tried to split his attention. And because he split his attention, nothing really got done. But it seems like just because from the Vel'Koz's play, they can just quickly burn down Dragon while the rest of the team is not looking.
That's it. I'm loving this play from Karuka Malta and Ramilia immediately taking down that Dragon and the Vel'Koz. He was sitting on a ward that entire time, and I was waiting to see what would happen. But they're trapped in with him, and he's not trapped in with them. As towards the mid lane, Scuttle is being brought up. As Lasercake's taking a lot of poke damage, they might be able to take out his turret.
And Trundle is trying to sitting around seeing if Jarvan's going to come answer it. Probably sitting there just trying to use it as a bait. It's just going to get a decent amount of damage. I don't think they can kill the turret, but Trundle was sitting there as a... Hey, if Jarvan really hard focuses, as you can see, Jarvan's actually gone for the Warrior enchantment rather than the defensive Cinderhawk enchantment. So he may be looking to continually build damage. He might go Black Cleaver into something more like a Steric's Gauge rather than something like a Gargoyle or Stoneplate. It's interesting to see if he's able to live in the team fights and output that damage.
And if you look at that vision, they are learning from their last game in this mid-game. Beautiful vision on the side of the Titanic, controlling that Dragon pick around the blue side, knowing that they do not have that advantage around Dragon going in from blue. We have 4 kills picked up on the Vel'Koz, and as we've seen throughout this tournament so far, if this Vel'Koz starts to get these kills, in that mid-game, all those team fights, those ultimates coming in, the tectonic disruption, the life form disintegration rate will disintegrate the team of the Dabbers.
Yeah, and it just... This continuous pressure from this Vel'Koz that will happen because of his gold lead will start to get worse and worse. If Pantheon and Jarvan go on something like Misfortune and try to cancel out her impact, if they use all of their engage onto a position that's not Vel'Koz's position, he can start to just turn around and melt them. He's got his first item complete. It's a very offensive item compared to Lissandra just trying to go for that Zonya's, pairing it with his Aftershock, trying to stay healthy in these fights, just trying to set up the rest of his team. So Jarvan's trying to make up for the damage differential. It's actually a fight's going out in bot.
They want to see something in the top lane. Patico might be overstaying his welcome. The EQ does miss, but in the bot lane, Ramilia and Misfortune get a kill onto the Jin. Bear of the South running for his life. Ultimate and root into the W of the Morgana. Might be able to pick up the Thresh. As in the top lane River as well. We have Lasercape fighting onto Baron Card. He's running for his life. Immediately, Sandra ultimate onto that. As Jarvan EQ combo does knock him up, and he does get killed with the shutdown there. J4 coming in with the Cataclysm.
Yeah, and I didn't see much of that fight that happened down bot, but it's quite unfortunate that Lasercake did actually get caught out there without, especially without his jungler around, because his jungler can quite disrupt the Pantheon engage, and that Jarvan is actually mushing forward here.
Karuka Malta is trying to 3v1. He immediately just runs up to Bubble Boy. We have beautiful pressure from the Trundle ultimate, immediately picking out that kill. Bob Boop might be biting off more than he can chew, but he is wanting to trade onto the Karuka Malta as Patico is pushing in onto Bob Boop. Not enough damage there, I don't think, as Ramilia
Thresh came around the back. Yeah, and unfortunately just there, because he saw Lissandra had the lower health bar, but Pantheon has Pantheon looking greedily here. He might be able to get the kill here, but he may also die. Depends on how Thresh plays this. Oh,
we
he doesn't.
see the flash onto Ramilia, and now with the flash, he might not be able to escape. Let's see if he has enough damage onto the Thresh. The red buff is ticking, and DigYPDB is trying to run. The Love Strut is available, so he might be able to catch up. He does land there, but the Q misses. They do finally get that first turret on the Jin in the bot lane as Morgana's coming in. Beautiful Dark Binding onto the Thresh, and a shutdown is coming through onto the Morgana. We're seeing these oversteps from both teams as another kill comes on the side of the Dabbers.
Yeah, and now both supports are starting to hog kills now, and now a support has taken a shutdown from another support. Quite funny, actually. But yeah, it's just unfortunate there. Trundle should have really tried to go for that Pantheon. Trundle's Q continuously lowers his opponent's AD. Lissandra doesn't deal AD damage. It's actually, Pantheon's trying to run down this Misfortune here.
Bobby Boo immediately going on an ADC, and as we all know, ADCs aren't really good against the top lane, but the Vel'Koz channel coming in and a shutdown onto the Pantheon, and the bullet time does come in. They aren't able to actually pick up on the Bear of the South in towards, but the the Rumble does get the shutdown with the TP onto the Morgana in the top.
Yeah, and very, very good turnaround. rushing into a Misfortune that has ultimate. I knew what they were trying to do, but it wasn't very good. Is Remilia just trying to
Death
pressure?
sentence from the Remilia into the box takes Rocky Rocks down to like 50, 20% of HP as the Karrigan Molten comes into the backline with the Trundle Pillar, flashes immediately onto Landscape. It does pick up that kill. We're just seeing these crazy picks all over the place on the back end of every single team fight this game.
Yeah, and this aggression is just gonna slowly. I believe it's actually just gonna favor the more scaling teamfight comp of the Titanic more and more. The fact that these Vel'Koz and eventually this Misfortune as well will get stronger and stronger, and the fact that Trundle's getting more gold put into him means he can get tankier faster, he can get more of that damage faster, which means he can frontline. And if he can really keep people away from his carries, it just becomes impossible to just negate out that Vel'Koz damage. As Vel'Koz is looking pretty sneakily for a possible pick option here.
We're gonna see this third Drake come through, the Ocean Drake. J4 is in the wings. There is no vision on the J4. They have no idea he is there. They do have that scuttle as the Jhin. Final Curtain Call does come through. The Pantheon ultimate immediately onto the AD carry, and we have the Vel'Koz pushing in with the ultimate. Not enough damage, and Karrigan Molten has been on the Dragon for too long, and I'm sorry to say, but you cannot do that as your team is just being deleted in the backline, and they are going to pick up that trade Dragon. Padico with the Equalizer, trying to pick up that Drake, but too late.
Yeah, it was just unfortunate there that, Vel'Koz and Misfortune were just not positioned out correctly there. Thresh ran forward thinking that there was a pretty good kill opportunity, ended up leaving his AD carry in the dust and leaving his AD carry for to the Sharks for Pantheon. So that was what I was saying before in the draft, that with this team comp, if they can get forward, if Pantheon gets ultimates down, if Jarvan can get in the backline, this entire team comp of Titanic can fall apart.
We see they try to dive onto Padico, the Sandra Ultimedia. Bullet time does come through. A lot of damage has come out. Equalizer not available on the Padico, so they're unable to get the kill, but they do stop that inhibitor turret going down.
And a very clutch heal from Jhin probably was the thing that saved that Pantheon there, giving him movement speed and the health to get out of that. I think he would have probably died without it, but he is kind of greeting for now. He's running away with his Yomu's Ghostblade now. I was wondering what he was trying to do. But yeah, and they're just finding out that teamfight is a huge win for them, and they use it in a good way of pressuring down. Unfortunately for them, the vision control of Titanic is getting very, very good. The Thresh has a much higher vision score than the Morgana.
And we are seeing basically a deja vu of all the games we've seen both of these teams play. We see essentially early on Titanic taking these small 2v2 fights, getting in the small leads, but the mid game explosively they just end up losing some kind of fight around that Dragon side. But luckily this game, as opposed to the last game, they are remaining on top of their CS. So this gold differential isn't as much as last game, still only around 2k gold behind. So we're going to see if keeping up in the CS does allow them to actually stabilize, which we haven't seen in previous games.
Yeah, and eventually the scaling will become quite problematic, just for both sides as well. Around the Ocean Dragon, especially, I believe it is, yeah, it definitely is an Ocean Rift. The continuous one, because Minecrafters team really wants to extend out team fights. They want to continuously take fights. They want Pantheon to sit there with his E up all the time. They want Jarvan to trap the enemy in and kind of sit in there with him. As you can see, starting to build more defensive now. And getting an Ocean Dragon for that extended team fight will really make them strong. Padico is definitely playing with a bit of fire looking out there, but he retreats back to the safety of his tower.
Yeah, he's always going up front in the top lane, not afraid to go in, and we're going to see Bubba Boy towards taking a lot of chunk damage from the Varacard as the flash did come out.
Down over at Thresh, actually.
But, my god, he does get rooted with the Deadly Flourish and is immediately picked up by Rocky Rocks and overstaying his bounds, even though they do have vision.
Yeah, and talking about vision as well, I can still see that Jarvan is still sitting on a warding totem, I believe, which is probably contributing to the fact that they don't have as much vision control. As you can see that they are kind of walking in blind. Thankfully, their team comp is quite ahead and they can do so. But if they were in any measurement behind, having this lack of vision control and having this lack of vision would be very, very bad.
And just as we talk about that, Padico face checks a bush towards that bot side, and J4 picks up the killing spree, and they will have to give up this secondary turret. But DiguiPDB is trying to save it. This wave clear might be enough, but we're going to see Bobby does try to dive him.
Yeah, and he would have known that they would have been there. He would have seen them on the ward on the top of red, as well as the fight around where Thresh was dead. So face checking into a vision The one place where you didn't have vision and the one place where you didn't have vision.
Amazing Vel'Koz ultimate, trying to pick up the Rocket Box. He's on 1 HP. Can anyone pick it up as they do run forward? The heal does
Oh, the
come
redemption!
through. Redemption shut down from the Threshers pick up as they're continuing to try and chase. Karuk Malta might have that speed from the round, but Belisab has to flash and Zigguai PDB. He does have that passive, but they might not be able to chase as he does get snared. Karuk Malta as J4 is just picking up the battle line, but beautiful pickup there on the Jhin on the side of Titanic.
Yeah, yeah. And unfortunately, it goes again to Thresh, so more and more gold being funneled into someone that won't give you as much value, but they're just using this pressure to just take that bot tower. They're trying to extend out their vision lead to around the bot side. If it means that they can get vision easier, because that's what they're doing, they're getting really, really strong vision. They can extend that correctly. It's just unfortunate that Thresh ended up getting that shut down.
And with 40 seconds left to go on this Ocean Drake, this is the 3rd Drake in the game, and we've talked a lot about it in this tournament series as well as these games. Once you get that 3rd Drake, you're going to force teams into fights that they don't want to take, and with his vision control, let's see if they can play around this Drake better than they did last team fight.
Yeah, and honestly right now they don't have to keep forcing them if they feel like they're in a bad spot. They don't have to keep doing it. They have 2 dragons. The enemy team has to accumulate 3 more dragons, which will at the least will take about 13-14 minutes at the very, very least for them to do. So they have a lot of time to stall out. They have a lot of time to try to pick these favorable fights with this vision control, and they're really trying for it with these Thresh death sentences, but it just seems like Minecraft is not biting.
The difference between this fight and last fight around the track bit is J4 is not waiting on the wings as Belisab is immediately chunked down to 50% HP. We're going to see if that's enough to take the dragon. They don't start it at all as Bubble Boy is just trying to find something moving up, and they do have this crazy dive potential. Rumble is going to the mid lane. It's going to be a 4v5 here on the side of Titanic. Bob Boop is trying to make something happen as Karuk and Melta immediately cast Frozen Domain, trying to get that movement speed, dancing around the dragon pit. No one's pulled the dragon yet. No one's pulled the trigger as the Death Sentence does come with Bobby Boop, but no one wants to go in. It is way too dangerous there as J4 is waiting on the midst again, but they know that he's waiting on the wings, immediately get that warded. Beautiful hit onto Rocky Rocks from the Rumble, Electro Harpoon is forcing him to have to try and lifesteal as they finally start the dragon. J4 is in the back again. I'm seeing deja vu again. Let's see what happens. Now, Sandra might be going in. The beautiful equalizer blocking it, but the Pantheon immediately goes in. Blue team does slay the dragon, and bullet time into the J4, into the Vel'Koz shutdown. That's a beautiful hit on the side of the Titanic, as in the background they get the triple kill on the Vel'Koz, and the exhaust comes through, and they wipe that with the ace for the side of the Titanic.
Oh my goodness, what a well-played fight. And that's what happens when you have that misfortune and that Vel'Koz positioned a bit better. Their ultimates can just wipe at the enemy team. And, you know, Trundle, very luckily they were able to get the dragon there. Trundle pressed R onto the Lysandra, got all these defenses able to just frontline and take a lot of their stuff. They're all very grouped together, so Rumble just dropped the ultimate on all of them, and they just got wiped. That was such a well-played team fight. And especially seeing their team comp isn't full team fight. They still took that all of that zone control of Thresh and Trundle to their advantage and just wiped the Minecrafters.
Yeah, we're seeing the easy Baron pickup there, and the difference between this game and last game, I think, is that beautiful mid-game pressure. Right now, they no longer take these weird dragon pulls that chunk them down. They don't take this random poke and take fights that they cannot happen. They only pull the trigger when they need to, and we saw that pay dividends in that last fight.
Yeah, and now with Baron, they're really looking to try to get this lane pressure, especially around mid and bot, I would hope. Unfortunately, they did just lose their bot tower to minions. But if they get this bot pressure, and they get vision control around the bot side jungle, they can really start to choke out the Minecrafters into positions they don't want to be in. Because now they're sitting on Ocean Soul point, and Ocean Soul is incredibly strong. They're not as a longevity sort of team as the Minecrafters. However, if you put that onto a Rumble, he can sit in the middle of your team forever and ever and have no cares in the world. He currently has only just now picked up his armor pickup. So he is getting there with his defensiveness. I was about to critique the fact that he had not only anti-CC, but also having the Spirit Visage. I believe, I'm wondering, just looking at his champion page, he's gone Legend Alacrity. He should really have gone Legend Tenacity. Thresh has overstepped a little bit here, but maybe it's actually Morgana that's the one that actually stepped.
Morgana in the background. It does get that pick. Lissandra's too far. The teleports are coming in from both top laners. A weird teleport from Rumble. He was going to get immediately CC, but does miss that deadly flourish onto the Jhin. Doesn't pick pick it up as Karaka Mortar in the back end trying to push on the Sundra. She does get out quite easily, and we're seeing a siege comp here as Morgana still 26 seconds on the death timer.
Yeah, and this pressure slowly building more and more of this. Like while they're not a super engaged comp, and Minecraft has had better engagement than them, this Trundle and this Thresh are making it so hard for them to walk in. Trundle is not only super tanky, and not only can he just create a pillar that really negates one of the enemies, but then he also can just get incredibly tanky. He can frontline, he can just smack down people with his pressy attack, he just annihilates the Sandra. As actually a hook has come in.
Beautiful death sentence onto the side of Bobby Boomers. They're just pushing in with the equalizer. Morgana in the background has the ultimate as Patico is dealing way too much damage, and the bullet time does come through, immediately killing the Jhin. He cannot get out. The beautiful stopwatch by Patico denies damage. They do pick up the Lissandra. Karaka can tell Bubble is trying to save the day on the kill, but we do get kills on the Bobby boy, and I can't believe it, but we are going to a game 3 as Titanic pick it up. It is 1-1, and we're going to the third match for the UWAnime finals.
Nice, and what a turnaround, and then so well played with their pressure, really forcing the Minecrafters to walk up against them. And the second that the Minecrafters walked up and put themselves in a bad spot, the thresh hook into the Trundle pillar, the team fight split out, and then the AoE damage just ran down the Minecrafters.
That's it, and we're seeing Varankar with that 11-4 onto the Vel'Koz, dealing so much damage onto the side of the Titanic, finally picking up that second game.
Yeah, so well played. You can see, you can see that this game was very much Pantheon versus Vel'Koz and who could set up those team fights better. And eventually, when they became more open fields and the vision was controlled better, Pantheon's engage was starting to get negated, and then all of a sudden Vel'Koz was getting protected, and he can get all this damage in the backline. So all this lead that Pantheon had started to matter less and less.
Yeah, we're finally seeing, I think, Titanic reaching their final form evolution towards the tournament. You know, we've been talking about how much they've been keeping these lane phases, but in the mid game just losing these team fights. We're finally seeing in that game them finally pulling off that beautiful team composition, and with that Vel'Koz dealing so much damage, the bullet times onto the MF, protecting their AD carries and their AP carries, being able to dive onto the side of the Minecraft Dabbers ADCs and APCs. I think we're in for a great third game as we go into the Silver Scrapes game for the UWA tournament.
Yeah, I'm very keen. I'm interested to see actually the damage taken. As you can see, just that Trundle, that frontline tank was able to soak up so much. But yeah, I'm very excited. We're going to go into a quick 5-minute break just to cool down, let our teams talk it out, and let us have a quick break from how intense that game was. And when we come back, we'll have that game 3.
What are you willing to lose? You cover your wounds, but underneath them a million voices in your head that whisper, stop now. Another twist of the knife, a turn of the screws, it's all in your mind, and it's
And we are back for Game 3, the last game, a best of 3 of UWAnime's final. How are you feeling?
Oh man, I don't think my brain can deal with how intense it is. We came off an intense first game, back and forth, not knowing whether or not XPK was going to happen. And then that second game where you could feel it slipping away some way or another, and then suddenly, bam, team fight, bam, team fight. Teams pulling out left, right, and center. After a team fight, 10 picks going on in the bot lane, 3 picks going on in the top lane. And finally, Titanic is making a statement. They deserve to be in this grand final. They get Epic Minecraft Dabber's first loss in this tournament, and I cannot wait to see what happens in this third game and who picks up the title for this tournament.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited as well. These teams have both proven that they can do team fights, they can do lanes, they can win their lanes, but then all of a sudden when the mid-game team fights happen, it's all around this vision control, and sometimes the Minecraft dabbers can keep that vision, sometimes they totally lose it with Amelia just running circles around their vision and just denying all of it. So it's very interesting to see how they're going to play around it, how they're going to draft, what they consider as bannable or not bannable. I'm interested to see if they take away that Trundle, because that Trundle was a very strong pick last game.
Yeah, that's it. The chomps in the background, the frozen ground, ensuring that he can zone the J for it all. And I think the beautiful front to back plays, they couldn't actually dive onto the misfortune as much as they would like to. And the Vel'Koz damage, I think, was just too much of a threat. So I'll be very interested to see if they do ban the Vel'Koz there, because we've seen time and time again, Card, while very even towards that mid game, once he does get that lead, and he picked up four kills around in the mid game to get that bounty on him, he started dealing the damage, picking up those 3 completed items as we go in to this pick and ban phase.
Yep, I believe both teams are ready, so we should be jumping into pick and ban phase any moment now. So we've actually had a team swap. So on losing, Minecrafters get to choose, so they've chosen red side, and we're jumping into champion select now. Chat, just give me 1 second to switch the overlay. I'll let you commentate what's happening while I do that.
No problem there, as Rocky Rocks is still deciding what they want to ban. I'll be so interested to see what happens after that second game, but they do respect the Vega, seeing the side of Card destroying the opposition in the last series that they played, as the Graves respect ban comes in once again for Bubble Boy.
Yeah, and Bubble Boy has been fairly in control of a lot of these games, trying to force out things, keeping pressure with his gang. So keeping those bans on him is quite smart, as on blue side we've got a Nautilus ban up against the support of the Titanic.
Yeah, and we've seen Remilia basically throughout this tournament playing the Threshers, playing the Nautiluses, playing the Leonas, on all of these heroes very strong as appealing champion and making something happen in these 2v2s. And I've got to say, this 2v2 in the bot lane, PTB and Remilia has really stepped up. They've kept up in CS in that second game we just saw, and finally getting those picks against the Jhin Morgana that we've seen so much success of from the Dabbers.
Yep, and we see the respect ban of Nah up against Bubba Boy as well. I almost feel like that's a bit of a pulling it there, especially when it's a 1-1 situation. But we see the Misfortune banned up against Dig, and we see the Zerath taken away. So Vel'Koz is left open. It looks like it's going to be taken away by...
Yeah, but with that blue side pick from the losing team, you essentially have a fourth ban with the first pick, and they are going to take away from Varankard. Very strong on that. But Remilia immediately picking up the Rakan, not what you see Lovers Duo, they are picking it up for themselves.
And they are saying, what you can do, we can do better. Picking up the Lovers Duo. Possibly, they still haven't locked it in. They've locked in the Rakan though, and it would be... If they don't, okay, no, they do decide to lock in Xayah. So, blue side, first pick does kind of tell the enemy team what your team composition kind of wants to go towards. Vel'Koz wants a controlled team fight. Xayah and Rakan's main point is charging into those controlled team fights, trying to run down the team, especially with Xayah being able to hit the front line and the back line with her E's and her Fleam Feathers. So they're really going to have to look at what they're going to do here, and they're going to pick the Caitlyn.
Yeah, Caitlyn is one of the solo queue champions coming in onto the side of the Epic Minecraft Dabbers, playing a lot of the Caitlyn's and a lot of the Ashes. We haven't seen it too much in this tournament thus far, but that safety is just too much to ask. As Bear of the South, I was wondering if we were going to see the Swain. Now, I did look at their past games, and he played, I think, 12 games of Swain in the last few days. So this pocket pick out in the bot side for this Swain is going to be something to look at.
And comboing that with the Caitlyn of yanking back and that momentary CC, allowing Caitlyn to try to follow it up with the trap, and then following up with the Swain W on top of it can be very, very strong. Especially seeing that Xayah doesn't have the most mobility before she hits level 6. As we see the Azir lock in. Oh!
We have not seen the Azir all tournament thus far, and I have no idea. No statistics on what Varankard can do on this hero, but against the Vel'Koz, that is a strong pick.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily going to beat Vel'Koz too much in the laning phase. But what it does say is, hey, you're trying to play defensive. You're trying to step back. You've got this Swain, Caitlyn, Vel'Koz. All are going to sit kind of similar spots at the start of a team fight. Azir's going to go, hey, if I can get a flank on you, you're all getting immediately yeeted into my frontline, into my Xayah and Rakan, and you're going to get annihilated. So we see a Pantheon ban. We see a Trundle ban, which I'm not surprised that... Not surprised that they actually want to ban that Trundle, because Trundle can really negate out Caitlyn as well. Having heavy slows onto Caitlyn can really destroy her.
Yep, definitely the respect bans coming through with the Trundle and now the Silas on the side of the Titanic. Understanding that towards that mid game, that Silas with the Kingslayer, with the heals and the Conquerors was just too much for them to handle. I'll be interested to see what they decide to ban now, as what we see is the Swain in the bot lane might mean that they might want to play something a bit more divey and a bit more mobility to get out of that ultimate.
Yep, and they're going to need another frontliner. They're going to want someone else that can tank up, because Swain won't be too tanky. As with the Silas ban, it's also very, very handy, because Silas can utilize team fight ultimate using heavy comps, like having an Azir or Rakan against them by using their ultimates. That's the main reason why he was made, was to counter ultimate team fight comps. So seeing that they've laid their cards up going, hey, we're going to spam ultimates, but you can't have Silas. So it's very interesting to see how that's going to go there. So Warwick has been locked in. We've got the Nocturne lock in.
The Nocturne on the side of the Bubba Boy, and we've been talking this entire tournament about the power of Bubba Boy's carry potential, his ability to make things happen, as they do let the Mordekaiser through as well.
And
the one thing in that first game, the first time these teams faced off, that they couldn't deal with the Leandres, they let that through. Let's see if they have something special, as they do pick the Singed against him this time.
Yeah, I do think that Nocturne is slightly off theme with the rest of his team. I feel like he wants to do things a little bit differently to how the rest of his team wants to go. If he can't synergize with his team too well, and especially if Mordekaiser runs in and then ults someone, he's got no one to frontline for him. So if he jumps in and he's not ultra fed, he can get immediately bursted down by that Azir, that Xayah immediately CC'd up by the Rakan. So it'll be quite interesting to see how he plays it. However, with his lethal tempo, he can 1v1 Warwick early. One of the few people that really can. If he plays it correctly, if he can dodge out of his fear and then put the fear onto Warwick, he can really win that 1v1. So it'll be interesting to see. So, as we go into the spectator delay, what are your thoughts? Who do you think will win this third game in this best of three?
You know, if you asked me 2 games ago who would win, I would say 2-1 Epic Minecraft Dabbers. But with this third game, I am going to put my money onto the side of the Titanic. And the reason why I say this is even though this Mordekaiser was that sort of nice silver knife that was in their first game, I don't think he has any ultimate targets that he really can pick. The Zia can get away, the Xayah can get away, and if they can deal with the Mordekaiser, I think if Padiko, as the Singe, can deal with the Mordekaiser, they can come off the untilt of that second game, and the currently tilted dabbers might be dabbing their way to a loss.
And also with Mordekaiser, Xayah will want to build things like QSS. They're facing a Vel'Koz, facing a Swain, facing a Mordekaiser. It will be part of her build path already, even without the Mordekaiser, to build that QSS. The second she gets that Quicksilver Sash, Mordekaiser has a whole lot less threat. So he'll run up, he'll put his ultimate on her, get her stats, she'll press QSS and the stats drop off of him. All of a sudden he's in an awkward spot where he's in the middle of the enemy team, thinking he's thinking that he's top stuff because he's got Xayah, and then he pops out of the death realm almost instantaneously and just dies. So I honestly think draft-wise, Titanic certainly win. The win condition that the Dabbers have is getting that Nocturne online. If he can get very, very ahead and pick good fights, especially if he builds Sanguine Blade, I believe it is, the one that gives lifesteal and more attack speed. So if he gets Sanguine Blade and can keep catching out people in a single lane, especially like Azir, because the main Azir CC will be his ultimate. If Nocturne can guess it correctly, press that W, it's so hard for them to be able to stop him.
Yeah, and certainly the amount of AP damage that's coming on the side of the Swain ultimate and the Vel'Koz we've seen time and time again throughout the UWAnime tournament with those ultimates cleaning up team fights. No team has really come up with an answer to the Vel'Koz, so it might be the mid-game damage that is able to help Dabbers stand steadfast around those dragon fights.
Yeah. Dragon fights will be quite interesting because I do think that around first dragon, Minecrafters champions are a lot stronger. When it just comes to the CC layering, as well as just like Nocturne's innate ability, just really auto attack quickly with his lethal tempo, Mordekaiser with his continuous AoE damage and whatnot. So I think Titanic should really not be trying to look for crazy team fights around the first dragon because they would probably lose. But as this game extends more and more, Singe is just going to become a ridiculous side lane threat. And then if you build Righteous Glory, he presses ultimate, he runs at your Caitlyn, and there's nothing you can do. You don't have a Morgana. He's just going to run to your Caitlyn and just throw her over his shoulder, and then you've lost the team fight just from that alone. So
yeah, and we're going to see if Dig YPTB can carry on the Xayah as Rocky Rocks did on that first game. If this Xayah does get fed, her feathers deal so much damage now with the 5% increase of damage. So we're going to see as we head into the load screen and check out their runes.
Yep, and once again, just bear with me, chat, as I switch over the overlay. Sweet, and I'll drop our cameras so we can get a good look at the runes. Oh, go on,
So
League.
nothing
Don't-
really crazy here, but I am seeing Swain with the Electrocute. Electrocute is very strong on Swain. I did play him a lot 2 seasons ago when he was very strong. So a lot of burst damage potential coming on the side of the Dabbers, but nothing really crazy out coming up from the rest of the teammates.
Yep, and Azir's looking for that lethal tempo, and so is I. They're really looking for that late game scaling. You sometimes go Hail of Blades on Azir, because you really want that early game trading. And sometimes you go press the attack on Xayah, so you can get 1, 2, 3, and then reel back and get a whole lot of damage. But that's very much around the early game. They're just going, screw the early game. We just want to stay alive, keep pressure, and then in the late game, we get our lethal tempos online. We just start mowing down your team.
Yep, as we are loaded into Summoner's Rift, as we do wait and see, but the old teams have loaded successfully thus far. Let's see if there's going to be any early invade shenanigans as we saw in the prior 2 games.
And honestly, the main invaders that happened last time, the Titanic, don't have as strong of an invade. I actually think that the range of Minecrafters at level 1 can really keep them at bay, and the strength of Swain's, most likely he'll take E first, but you might just hold on to his skill point. As we see them, I'm sitting at 18, 19, 20, we're
Yep, we're
synced.
synced.
Cool. So we're getting some pings out, from both teams onto the top river. Azir's split up from his team, but the rest of his team seems pretty confident to run here. Nocturne Mace, yeah, Nocturne's seeing them.
Immediately sees them and runs for his life. The Q does give him a lot of damage for the Dustbringer. 15% movement speed gets him out of there, as we do see both teams. But Singed is looking for something. Patico on the side of the Titanic is hiding in a bush.
Now I'm gonna have a little bit of an LS moment here for flaming someone for not taking Gathering Storm. Azir has taken on his secondary tree Mana Flow, Band, and Transcendence. Or actually, I'll leave it for a moment because there might be a fight happening here.
Yeah, we see Grand Entrance immediately onto the Bobby Boo. He has to flash away, and he is going to get out of there. But they do invade the blue. No wards there, so they're unsure if they do take it. As immediately Titanic tries to answer, but they have essentially warded their own blue buff, so they're going to see immediately if they try something fancy here. We might see a fight break out against this contested blue.
Yeah, and so they're on vision right now. Top laner is missing Flash, and Warwick will most likely, looks like he's going to move into the enemy jungle. He's wanting to split the map vertically now. Against a lane that has no Flash, it's actually pretty strong. Zion Rakan, however, taking a very interesting path. I wouldn't necessarily agree with this. Swain does have his E up.
Immediately gets rooted by Bear of the South. Tick by PvP. He's flashing over, but does get to safety as the Grand Entrance does favor Amelia, and Warwick is stealing over that boost on side Karok and Malta immediately as well. So nothing doing, no crazy kills there, but we are going to see Digby PTB chunked out because of that pathing.
Yeah, and unfortunately that just negates part of the reason why that vertical jungling was so strong, that the enemy top laner has no flash, your top laner has flash, he hits level 2, gets flip, all of a sudden very, very strong gank. And then if you're playing Nocturne down bot side and you're being vertical jungled, all of a sudden it becomes a problem that both the enemy laners have flash. Because of that poor play from Xayah, unfortunately she doesn't have flash anymore. However, they are getting pushed in. They'll be pretty comfortably pushed in because Nocturne is not Elise. He can't tower dive really hard early. As you can see here, mid lane gonna stay fairly stale. Azir's gonna play this one fairly safe. I've actually
Beautiful route in by Bear of the South as Amelia immediately gets pushed back, but I think I was buffering a bit there.
I was buffering a tad bit as well. I'm currently on 38, 39, 40, 41, 42.
Let me just catch up. I'm on 46.
47, yep, cool, we're synced.
As immediate route comes in onto the Bear of the South again as well, but he's just getting chunked out by this Swain. Swain not really a support pickup usually in solo queue, so not really knowing the distance on that.
Yep, and ooh, very close there. Now, Xayah will want to greed at least for having that cannon, but she should really look to back after this. They're unfortunately going to lose a bit of lane pressure, but it's, Xayah just has to back here, yeah. She's still got cannon, which is very good. She's still got all that XP. But because the next wave is not a cannon wave, they can get their wave bounce pretty hard. It's actually in the top lane. Singed and Mordekaiser are trading quite a bit.
Yeah, they're just running around against each other as Bobby do versus the Paticos. Patico's just looking to take out these minions on the side of Mordekaiser, but the shields coming on the side of Mordekaiser means that he doesn't take that much damage at all.
Yep, but Singed doesn't necessarily need to win the trade super hard. He just needs to keep minion pressure. He needs to try to keep Mordekaiser locked in what he wants to do, because Mordekaiser can, with these fights happening down bot, if he had a lot more lane pressure, he could look for teleports in when Warwick comes down here eventually to try to relieve this pressure. So now that he's being pressured, he always has to keep collecting waves and whatnot. He doesn't really have a teleport thing anymore. Swain's just walking out to check the Scuttle Crab, but I don't think he's going to do much more than just check, as Warwick is on that bot side and probably look to do it, so the junglers might meet here.
Yeah, we're going to see a fight over the Scuttle potentially, but Bubba Boy does get him with the plant
Rakan
site.
has jumped in.
He has Grand Entrance in, but nothing doing there as they are looking to support Bubba Boy pick up that Scuttle Crab in the bottom river.
Warwick gets pushed off. Unfortunately, with doing a Scuttle Crab, and especially being the one that starts it, you normally want to use your CC to get rid of its defenses. So if... Oh, actually in the top lane.
In the top lane, Paticos chunked down to about 15% of his HP as Bob did boot with the Mordekaiser damage just forcing him out of lane.
Yep, the wave is probably going to slowly push back into Singe, so it's not the worst situation for him. But that trade in the bot lane was pretty strong. It's unfortunate that Warwick did not get that thing.
And immediately a fight grand entrance onto a Rocky Blocks does deal damage. DYPV has to block heal onto the Ignite and not much heal going on with there. As a beautiful trade coming through, Rocky Rocks is quite even on that trade.
Yeah, Xayah wanted to stack up a couple more things before hitting the root. She should have really just tried to look for that immediate root afterwards. It would have probably won them that trade there. As you can see, Bubble Boy is really exerting that pressure up against Warwick, that level lead, and just trying to push him out of his jungle.
Yeah, that's it. And all lanes are relatively even, but we're seeing a slight gold lead, 7.4k against 6.8k, simply from minion differential in the bot lane again. And we saw this like in the first game. Digby PDB is not really that great once he's under turret, taking that pressure for the CS.
Yeah, but with the essence of their team comp, they're okay to take these sort of losses. It's around how they eventually push this. The last thing that they want to do is go, oh, Dragon's up, it's a Cloud Drag, we have to go in 5v5. 5v5ing when you're playing a scaling comp over something like a Cloud Dragon is probably one of the stupidest things you could probably do. So hopefully they play this smart, they slow it down. I did check, Xayah does have the Gathering Storm. Unfortunately, Azir doesn't. But it's another thing of their whole team comp just going, hey, we want to scale, we want to slow the game down. Sins just wants to keep collecting waves and just annoying Mordekaiser. So the more he can continue to do that and not die. He's actually been ulted by Mordekaiser, but he does have his own ultimate now.
Yeah, he's just running around the Mordekaiser. Let's see if he can survive the damage, as he should be able to get out to turret safely, and Patico's laughing his ass off, and it's relatively even from the CS perspective in the top lane as a result of all this pushing.
Yep, and that's all Singe really needs to do right now. He won't, Mordekaiser won't be a huge threat to him until he gets about 2 items, which is when he'll get the Rylai's Crystal Scepter, and then into the, the Andrew's Torment first, then Rylai's Crystal Scepter. Once he gets those 2 items, it's quite hard for Singe to properly kite him. But even then, at that point in the game, Singe just wants to push waves and run away, push waves and run away. He doesn't really want to trade like how he is right now. He's only trading just for that like lane pressure so he can continue to get CS early. Actually, he might have a fight here in the jungle.
Yeah, we're seeing the priority on the bot lane, allowing Bubble Boy to step up all the way deep to the Titanic's blue side, as Warwick is just trying to see if he can make anything happen. Laser Cake has rotated down here as well. Digwide PvP is seeing if he can do anything at the back, but they do pick up that easy blue steal.
Yeah, and that was mainly a deny not only just to Warwick, but also to Azir as well. Because he'd want to hand it over to Azir. Azir really wants to have as much mana as possible. And actually,
we see Xayah's immediately picked up by the Swain E, and the damage is coming in the first blood, not respecting how much damage the Nevermore ability on the Swain does.
Yeah, and instead of flashing over the Nevermore ability, he thought he could step back and then kite backwards, but the Caitlyn just hitting auto attack into auto attack, just absolutely annihilating her health bar.
See towards the mid lane, it is quite even. Varicard and Lasercake. Azir does have that Fiendish Codex, which will allow him to poke more on the side of the Lasercake. Let's see if he does anything with it.
Yeah, and Azir's very, very happy in this matchup. He was probably preparing to have to sit back and just let the waves kind of come into him. Let the jungle pressure kind of push into him, but he's taking command and control of this lane. The other lanes are kind of demanding the jungle pressure more, and now he's just getting free farm. The last thing you want to be doing against an Azir is letting him go minion for minion with you, unless if you're playing someone like Corki. So Vel'Koz is really going to have to try to force things in mid-game team fights, but if Titanic really slow this down, Minecrafters won't be able to find those fights. But if Titanic slip up and they end up grouping in the wrong spot or trying to fight over a dragon that they shouldn't, that Vel'Koz is just going to melt them.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Bear of the South in the bottom lane on the Swain to try and stop any of this scaling. If they can get ahead via these bot lane Nevermore E abilities from the Swain, really pushing that dragon agenda. The amount of dragons that they get this game will force them to fight fights that they don't want to take. And as a scaling comp, you definitely don't want to pick fights you don't want to take.
So this is very, very scary for Titanic's bot lane. Their wave is now currently frozen, well away from them, and Nocturne is now level 6. His level 6 spike is obviously super, super scary. The engage, that follow-up that can happen with it. So they're really just having to sit there and hope that Caitlyn's eventual headshot damage will max out. Actually,
does try for a gank towards Varicard in the mid lane. The fear does come through. He might be able to pick this up on the turret. And the beautiful Vel'Koz ultimate does pick it up from the laser cake.
I just don't think he had enough mana for his R, which is unfortunate. But yeah, he was unable to get out of Nocturne's tether range of his sphere. It actually got buffed kind of recently. But Nocturne does have his ultimate. He's looking possibly for bot. But this Rakan does have level 6, and sometimes it's a little hard to get on top of him, seeing as 2 levels of CC and your spell shield can't just block all of it. Looks like they're just going to convert the pressure into Dragon though. I don't think
are
Warwick
going
should really contest this.
Yeah, we are going to see Karakamota rolling around as immediately Paranoia goes onto the humans. Bubble Boy is trying to chase down these kills, but the beautiful fear from the Warwick ensuring that he doesn't actually get that kill as they do have to turn around. We're going to see that's enough to potentially delay it, but I think they do still pick this up with the priority in the bot lane.
Yeah, and getting Nocturne's ultimate into a thing that wasn't, like, Warwick's flash isn't really that important. So in all essence, it's fairly positive. Like the lane pressure, the gold pressure eventually will be super strong for actually Rakan and Xayah cheekily taking the ward, utilizing Rakan's crazy mobility. But at the end of the day, Nocturne's first ultimate being used like that isn't really that huge, and he really wants to keep accelerating. If they can keep him in this neutral spot, actually Mordekaiser ulting Patiko here. He does still have flash though.
Does as Patiko is on the edge of the ultimate, so can't escape from there, and he's just running for his life as Bobby has to flash, but flash too late coming in from Singed as unfortunately Karakamota in the back end tried to save him as Laser Cake's doing so much damage with that organic deconstruction, but Azir is there to follow up as in the bot lane. The Remilia grand entrance immediately onto Bale of the south as the ultimate starts to come in, and Remilia is trying to flash and is overstaying his bounds as the burst damage is coming in, and the Xayah Feathers isn't able to snare anyone. It's too late, and the Caitlyn ults and it's not enough with the heal on the Digwai PDB, but we're just seeing so much damage. TP is coming in from the Singed in the back end. I'm not sure if they see him at all because they're still stepping up, and Bear of the South might get caught here.
Yeah, and he's caught him here there, and they've shut down onto Xayah, which is very, very strong, and Singed should just be able to run her down.
That is a crazy shutdown as Rocky Ross is trying to escape for his life, and Patiko is saying, please run from me, as the flash is taken from Rocky Rocks. And we saw before in the game with Xayah, when she starts to get these shutdowns, she starts to deal damage.
Yeah, but you can see the slight difference of the mastery. Xayah not pulling her feathers back fast enough, not getting those crucial roots when she needs to, missing her feathers. You see the Herald dropped in the mid lane. I don't think they're able to complete the tower, especially because Singed is rotating. That's a decent gold injection into that Vel'Koz and into that Nocturne.
Yeah, we saw 4 plates being taken, so paying dividends for that pickup, and Karakamota as a result of the Singed going down in the bot lane has to pick up that turret in the top. But we're going to continue to see these top fights between the Mordekaiser and the Singed, and I'm not sure at this point who's going to be more ahead. What do you think, Daedric?
It's kind of hard to tell right now. It depends on very much how they play around the next Dragon and the next Herald. Titanic is starting to get to the stage where they want to start looking at team fights. If not team fights, more, burst trades, or actually in the mid lane.
And the Paranoia immediately comes onto the Azir, but he can get out of there with the near side. And that is the strength of the Azir in this matchup. But Laser Cake's immediately stepping up, and Varicard, do not overstep your bounds, because we've seen before, Lifeform Disintegration Ray does a lot of damage against Lifeforms.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate though for Nocturne that another ultimate is, not that useful. But in the bot lane,
Grand entrance coming in and not able to get anyone. The root does come in on Digwai PDB as Nocturne's looking in the background, but Warwick is coming in and trying to save him. But so much damage coming in through as the Karakamota does come through, and Exhaust does go on Belsham, has to flash to get it out, and they end him with their lives as the Q goes in, and beautiful dodge there by Digwai PDB. They're getting out with their lives as the Zea's trying to pick up on the background, and a weird ultimate on the background as Remilia's coming in with the charm of the 2, and the Vel'Koz Disintegration Rays coming in as this team fight is being played terribly by Titanic as they're being picked up all over the place, trying to pick up these kills, and a double kill comes on the Vel'Koz, 3 kills down.
And just as I said before, and actually in the top lane, I believe, Singed is once again in Mordekaiser's Death Realm. He should... Oh, he does get yanked. Unfortunately, he does die there. So yeah, as I said before, this team fight probably seals the game for the next probably 10 minutes. I don't think, unless if they can really, really slow down the game somehow, this game will slowly start to run away from them. Unfortunately, just like that Azir ult miss was pretty unfortunate. He was just unable to reposition correctly. Warwick had a really good engage. Actually, in the mid lane, there was a bit of trading, but it looks like it won't amount to much. But Caitlyn's
We're going to see the
so
burst
damage
coming in from the Swain, immediately trying to pick up, but again, both bot laners surviving off the 1 HP, one tiny item, and I think it would be kills on either side.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate that Xayah's ultimate, those feathers that came out, would have actually killed Caitlyn. She only just dodged it. Her ultimate is up though, but she's respecting it and staying back because Rakan is there to block. Xayah's just looking to unfreeze this wave, get it to bounce the tower, and just to recall.
I'm wondering if Swain's gonna snipe with this W, this Swain. We've seen the vision of the Empire not being respected by this Zaya Rakan, dealing so much damage again with the execute on the Swain, electrocute on the Swain, sorry, dealing so much burst damage coming out of these 2v2s.
Yep, and Paddy unfortunately taking a bad trade with a tower, taking 2 tower shots accidentally because of minion block. But Sin's just fairly happy with the state of the game right now. He can just play this one out slowly. He's fine with just dropping a kill or two to Mordekaiser. It's not going to turn around and completely bite him in the ass. But unfortunately, because of the rest of his team are not having a huge gold acceleration, it's becoming harder and harder for them to push in. To push their lead. Unfortunately for Zia, I'm not sure, I may be wrong here because it's been quite a while since I played as Zia, and I haven't taken complete notice with boots, but I think that actually...
do see hold that floor, Bubba Boy is immediately going into the pin and picking up onto Amelia, an easy kill onto Laser Cake.
And he just holds his flash there. He may have not had his W up. I think if he had... Because he had his flash up, he could have just flash W'd away, but he obviously must just not have his flash up. And Caitlyn, oh my goodness. Oh.
1v1 coming in as Varanka tried to save the day, and we're seeing an absolute class from Rocky Rocks taking these 1v1s against the enemy ADC.
Yeah, and it was just this whole thing of anything you can do, I can do better. And that difference in mastery really ended up showing in the end. Zaya just missing those things and just eventually not having that lead, and then Caitlyn being able to push that lead, punish Zaya's mispositioning. And then, as I saw before there, she crit when she hit the trap shot and did about 70% of Zaya's HP. So she's just not allowed to play the game right now. Azir's just not allowed to roam at all because not only does his lane not have any pressure, but none of his other lanes have pressure, so he can't really go elsewhere and try to push pressure. But just that damage from Swain and Caitlyn is just so oppressive.
Yeah, these Nevermores under turret, coupled by the Caitlyn traps, are just destroying this bot lane as the poke does come in, and they have to respect the Swain Nevermore. It only deals 50 magic damage to enemies it passes through, but coupled with that electrocute and all this poke damage from the Swain, they have to get out of there.
Yeah, and even though it doesn't do that much damage, the main thing is just that danger of that CC, of him pulling you closer and pulling you into Caitlyn's effective range, because she's so ahead. She's hitting a couple lucky crits. She's about half an item ahead of Zaya, and that's before she's gone back and bought. She's still sitting on another 1,300, so she's basically a full item ahead of her opponent AD carry.
Yeah, we're going to see here if Titanic can actually wave clear and try to slow the game down. They are scaling champions, so if they can actually survive this game, I'm talking 35 to 40 minutes, they might be able to bring this one back. But until then, they need to start getting items, because the Zaya's on 0 items to the Caitlyn's IE. The Vel'Koz is 4-0 and building that Ludens into some defensive items now, while Stinger is only being built by Veracard. They just need to slow down the pace and try to get these items.
Yeah, and Padiko only just got out with a sliver's health against the Mordekaiser there, keeping Mordekaiser's attention but not forcing his teleport, so Mordekaiser still has that really strong ability, and seeing that Zaya is nowhere close to getting anything like a QSS, and neither would Azir, he's going to start becoming very scary if he starts using those ultimates elsewhere with his teleports. Now, the thing I was saying before with Azir was I think that if you take Lethal Tempo, taking Berserker's Greaves isn't the best idea. Just seeing that, especially earlier in the game, Sorcerer's Shoes are really strong against people who aren't building MR. So I don't know if it's a meta shift, and I haven't taken note of it, but I'm pretty sure, especially in a situation where you have that lethal tempo, you'd prefer to have that magic penetration and make sure that your damage is scaling rather than just attacking a couple more times when your lethal tempo is already scaling you super hard.
Yeah, we're going to see if that can actually start paying dividends in team fights as he tries to get more AP, only having the Amplifying Tome and the Natures here. But Azir, as we've seen in the LCK, starts to deal a lot of damage once he starts to get those 2 and 3 item power spikes. But if this Caitlyn out in the bot lane continues to fight against Remilia and DigYPTB, the Nocturne ult continuously providing pressure. Bubble Boys just picks up the Rift Herald as they dive in towards the bot lane, a charm going to the Rocket Rocks, and unfortunately DigYPTB has to just run against the Swain as they pick up the easy 2v2.
Yeah, and Swain's at the point where he's just forgone any sort of support item. He's just gone any sort of support build. He's just gone straight into his Rod of Ages. He's starting to be able to just 1v1 the enemy AD carry because of how behind she is. Warwick can't farm his own jungle just because of how ahead Nocturne is and how scary his pressure of his ultimate is. Vel'Koz would just continuously pick up mid waves, Mordekaiser would just continuously pick up top waves, and at this point, even though that they want this game to go out to the later stages of the game, the fact that they're being so accelerated so hard against really, really does not help their team comp.
Yeah, and at 20 minutes with 2 dragons taken, the next one spawning in just 52 seconds, they're gonna force a soul very early in this game. They're denying the vision around that blue side. They're getting these beautiful Nevermore picks from the Swain onto Karakamota. You saw him chunked to 75% of his damage just from 2 of Swain, the support's abilities.
Yeah, and
As in top lane, we see again Sin's trying to fight the Mordekaiser, but now that Patico's actually able to heal, but with the pressure coming in from Bubba Boy looking to find something in Patico in the top.
yeah, Zyra's
As
on the
he
side,
does
but she
try
definitely
to-
doesn't have that.
L shield there, Zyra is immediately shut down, and Bubba Boy is biting off more than he can chew, as in the mid lane, Karamoto's running towards the top, but unfortunately unable to find anything there as they just wait for it.
I'm not entirely sure what was happening there. He had a very, very good flank. He could have pressed E before the enemy could have reflexed it. He could have flashed behind Caitlyn, feared her, pressed ult on her, and then the CC train with Azir especially would have just immediately annihilated her. So he had a very, very good flank spot and ran past. I think he was trying to go after Mordekaiser with his blood trail.
Yeah, definitely tunneling a bit on the top lane, and even if they do take out the Nocturne, not putting enough pressure towards the Dragons, they do pick up that third Drake even without their jungler towards the bot lane, but nothing they can really contest there without Warwick being there. A lot of damage lead here as immediately Nevermore bursting on from Bear of the South, picking up that kill over Lasercake.
Yep, and that's just the strength now. Because of how long range their damage is, now they have just such confirming CC. It's so hard for them to step up and get that vision that Vermilion was so good at getting at the games before, because he had that pressure. He had the people behind him. Seeing the entirety of his team, except for basically Xayah getting 2 lucky shutdowns, is so behind. He just does not have the flexibility to be able to just walk around like that.
Yeah, and we do see the game is reaching a state where essentially Dabbers is just fighting for vision here. They do still have that Scully on the side of the Nocturne. We're going to see if they can do anything for that as Baron is up and the Soul is coming in on 4 minutes. Let's see if they can get any picks as they siege down that mid lane.
Yeah, and I don't know, because normally I would say, as I would normally say, getting an inhibitor early is sometimes a little bit bad because it funnels gold in. However, because it all, as we've seen in the mid,
immediate Nevermore bash onto Tadico into the Caitlyn damage as we've seen in the bot lane is now leaking into the mid. Chunks down Patico, the tankiest character on their team, to 10%. Nevermore again rooted onto Patico as Mordekaiser is just walking up to their backline, and they should be able to take this inhibitor as Digwai PvP can't do anything with his feathers with only 1 item build as they're trying to force this through. But Skelly is dead as they are rotating towards the bot lane to see if they do anything here.
yeah. And I was saying before, with like sometimes taking inhibitors is a bit of a bad thing because you funnel gold, you deny your own gold, except for the fact that they're 10k up at 22 minutes. They can afford to drop a bit of gold if it means that they can use that lane pressure elsewhere, mainly in pressuring Baron because of how strong their pick comp is, especially with that Caitlyn and that Swain. So their comp just thrives off the fact that Titanic really just can't use the map now. It's really hard for them to get vision. If you look at them, they've only got one kind of soul ward out just in that bush on their red side jungle, and that's it. And also one sitting at Baron that's being control warded. They are not, yeah. So they have no vision control. They can't step out. Their jungler can't get any farm. They're just slowly being choked out and just being bled out for more and more of their objectives.
Yeah, and I'm loving seeing this from the Dabbers. We saw in the second game they did get out team fight towards that mid game, and we were worried maybe that's some sort of thing coming from Titanic. Maybe these strats were coming into fruition. But Dabbers is showing once again why they have only lost once in this entire tournament. For these beautiful macro plays, denying the vision, these beautiful random picks. We've seen Na, and now we've seen Swain, but we see Warwick coming in onto Rocky Rocks, and we see if he can deal enough damage, and he does get the fleeing onto Rocky Rocks, but the damage just coming through immediately onto the Caitlyn, and she's being killed for. And in the background, Nocturne is coming in immediately on the side of the Rakan as he has to be exhausted. And Digby PDB on the backside is getting destroyed by the Brokers with the double kill. And we're going to see Bob Deep is ulting Pattyco as once again. Pattyco is trying to run away, but easily picking up that bottom lane turret. And with 30-second timers, they might be able to go for the Nexus.
Yeah, they might just be able to end the game there. Caitlyn can now headshot towers after, I think it was about a year ago they changed that. So her pushing power is super, super strong. She's got 2 items. She can just press in. The respawn time is still have around 10 seconds, 10 to 20 seconds on each player. They can just end the game.
And congratulations for the first victory of the UWAnime tournament, going over to Minecraft Dabbers. Only 1 series loss, and I can't wait to have that post-game interview with our victors.
Sweet. First of all, with chat, I'm dropping in an MVP vote. So once I start it, you can vote. You can go exclamation mark vote, and then it will say what you can do. And so you can vote who the MVP of this game was. It's only from the winning team, so it's just the MVPs for each role of the winning team. So it's just a role. It's not a player. So I'm going to start the poll now. You guys go wild. And while that happens, I will jump in and perform my post-game interviews.
No.
Hey guys, how are we
Right.
feeling?
A little bit disappointed about the last game.
Yeah, yeah. I can understand
I
that.
hard entered.
Yeah, it was just
You
around. It was
probably pointed it out, right?
coming in. Sorry.
You probably pointed it out, but you saw what happened at the start of game 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very sad.
Yeah, unfortunately, it just came to just a couple poor decisions that just because the enemy team comp was it just really wanted to accelerate the game, and your team comp really wanted to slow down the game. They got to a point where you just couldn't slow them down anymore. They just kept on running you down.
Yeah, I think champ pick, either that or like we played it really poorly.
Yeah. There wasn't, in my opinion, there wasn't a very good insurance policy. Pretty much all of the champions were either they fall behind early, like Warwick fall behind early and just doesn't do squat mid, or the rest of your team, which is basically you kind of wanted to scale, but then also Rakan wants to fight in mid game. So if you're trying to scale, sometimes it doesn't really work out. So it was just a bit of a mismatch in draft at points as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the tournament. It was very, very fun to cast. Those 3 games are very, very fun. The last game was a little more stagnant than the other 2, but the first 2 games were absolutely amazing to watch.
Glad you enjoyed the performance.
Yes, I very much
Yeah,
enjoyed game
thanks
2.
for hosting.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks.
I'm going to go jump and interview the other team. So, hope you guys enjoyed yourselves, and good luck if we run this again.
Yep.
So
thanks.
when's a rematch for the finals?
Rematch for the finals? I don't know. We're possibly going to try to run this again mid-year, so maybe then.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'll update you guys whenever we come to an agreement with committee and whatnot. So, but congratulations on playing well. Congratulations on taking a win off of Minecrafters. Well fought in the first 2 games. So just need to brush up that 3rd game of the series a bit more.
Yeah, first game was a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, but you know
we
it's
were like hard winning, and then we couldn't get onto the Zaya.
yeah, and that happens. You know, you're not pro. You're not pro players. I can't judge you like you're a pro player.
Lol. Yeah. Fair.
Anyway, congratulations, guys. Well done on getting to the finals, and we hope to see you next time we run something like this.
See you, Samson.
Coaches.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
Welcome to the call.
Oh my god.
Crafters.
When amazing. Oh, sorry, Samson.
That's all right. It's all right. How do we feel? How do we feel, boys?
Very pumped. Very pumped.
Very
Very
fun.
happy with that one. Very good play out of everyone.
Yes, yes.
First game
Everyone,
was
yeah.
very
Yeah.
intense.
First and second game were both very, very intense.
Yeah.
You mentioned the first game we ever played was a bit short. A couple of the games we played were a
How
bit
would-
short,
how would-
so we thought we'd make this one nice and long and really stretch it out for you guys.
I was very, very appreciated. So you guys made sure that this series was quite interesting. That's what it was, right? That's what it was.
Yeah.
With a name like this one, you can't go not entertaining an audience, you know?
Well, yeah, and congratulations. I believe if I have a look at the current results, it seems like your AD carry has been voted the main
Hell
MVP
yeah.
so far. I don't think there's going to be any big swing in votes. Some people may try to crash other things, but it seems like across
Hell
the
yeah,
series,
baby.
you were voted the MVP. How do you feel?
Oh, I feel great. I feel wonderful. I
As-
feel like I haven't blackmailed anyone into voting for me.
Yeah.
You shouldn't really say that while still on the stream. You do know we're still on
Oh
stream,
shit.
right?
Oh.
No, payment's been receded. It's
Damn
fine.
it. Yeah.
Oh, I
no.
see. When do I get the
I
payment
did
as
the
well?
chargeback on PayPal. It's all good.
So yeah, as the MVP, I was the extra prize that I want to offer is a skin of your choice that I'll buy for
Oh
your
my
account.
god. Okay, what's the price limit there, dude?
I prefer not to go ultimate, but I can if
Okay.
you're really
No.
if you're really
There's like I have with the meteor skins, so none of the other ones are actually that good.
well
Assassin
well
must be-
you can make up your mind and just
I'll DM
have
you
you got me
later,
on
I guess.
have you got me on League?
I'll
You
add
can-
you.
Assassin Master Yi.
Yeah.
What?
Me,
250
Rocky
RP
Rocks, my
skin.
username is Bob the Blue.
Oh yes, CC.
Who? Bob to who?
No. My username is Rocky Rocks. Wait.
Yeah, but Bob to sit and top the whole game and do nothing but 1v1.
This is how
Ooh.
we do. I knew a little
Ooh.
something about itemization in this game.
He did plan to start Leandri's first item after all.
Actually,
Sort of
correct.
adapted on the fly, and this is the high tier play we expect from the Epic Minecraft
I
devs.
see. I
and
forget
Sons
you
and
guys
Co.
are a
TTY
competing pro
LTD.
team, so
Yes.
I do apologize.
Hell
I do apologize.
But really
I
need to-
hate this kid so much.
Oh, yeah.
No, but yes, it was very fun and very good play from everyone on both teams.
Yeah, it was a very interesting series to watch. The third game was a little more stagnant than the other two, but I was just
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
that you guys just played things really well. You guys punished mistakes like the Zaya kind of face checking in a weird spot, and then like Warwick kind of incorrectly playing his jungle, and just from there, you guys really just snowballed your lead.
Yeah, it felt like we
Yeah.
really pushed into a sort of inert team by the end of it.
Yeah. They kind of cheese invade a lot, so we
Yeah, well,
stole their blue that time.
Yeah,
yeah,
it really worked the second game though. The fucking cheese baits. Oh my god.
Yeah.
both of the invades in game 1 and 2 were very, very interesting to watch. As a person who could see everything happening,
Oh god.
That fight at Drag in the second game was really wonky. I think that was so
there were
dank.
quite a couple fights that
Ooh.
series that were quite wonky. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a concede my contribution to the wonk.
Ah,
Yes.
of course, not your fault. Team diff.
No, but
diff.
yeah.
Team Death.
Team diff.
Please.
Yeah, I'll take all that wonk. That
Immediately
wonk's
just
on me,
spam
though.
top diff in chat. That's how you win the game.
Oh, right. I forgot.
Oof.
But congratulations on winning. I'll set up your little thing. You won't be on a separate name thing, but you'll have a different color on your name, so you can
Oh, very good.
brag about
Sweet.
your thing. And if anyone goes, "Oh, I wonder what they got
Great.
that name for," they click on
They
it,
can
and
click
then
on
there
us
it
and
is.
see
Your
Playing
beautiful
a
title.
Minecraft dabbers.
Wait, could you
God.
make her
Ah,
roll
I
that?
see.
Pun?
The but hyphen champions?
Undefeated champions?
Yeah, undefeated
yeah,
champions. We haven't lost a match.
No, you have lost a match.
We've lost a
Lost a
game.
game.
No, okay. I was gonna
Undefeated.
make it reigning champions, as in you come back next tournament and defend the title.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that better? Not undefeated. Because you did lose one game.
No, but we won a match. We won the whole match. We haven't lost a match.
Soon to be undefeated. Once we get our time machine, don't worry, we're coming back and we're sorting all this out.
The
Alright?
VOD's gonna look
I'm
real
gonna
jank
time travel. I'm
afterwards.
gonna show my past being a VOD of the game. I'm gonna change the future just to make sure that we hold a different title.
Yeah, I've been
We're
talking
just
with my
gonna
friend
delete that
Echo,
section.
and we got the Chrono Dancer, the Jigger Jiver. It's all in the works. Don't worry. Next tournament, it'll be coming out. You'll be seeing all of that. Looking real good.
Yeah,
Hype.
yeah. Well, well done. Congratulations on winning. I'll follow up
Thank
on
you.
the role stuff soon. Thanks for participating. It was really fun having these teams join in and
The tournament was really fun. It was a great
Yeah, it was
tournament.
very well put
Yeah.
together.
For having
Congratulations to Samson. Very big clap.
Thank you. And also thank you to Savage also.
yes, he's a very, very good co-host. He's
Yeah,
very,
he's
very
good
good at his
shout-outs,
play-by-play. Very, very handy because I can't do that rap god in the team fights. I can't do that. Yeah, it's very handy
He
having him
was
there.
just spitting too many words for his mouth to handle.
Spitting straight facts.
Yeah, congratulations. I'll let you guys go and I'll jump back on to with my co-host.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. See
Thank
you.
you.
See ya.
Bye.
Love
Bye.
you.
Oh my god, guys.
I'm just calling back my co-host just to have one last chat about the game.
Yeah, it's
Welcome
good.
back.
Thank you. It's good hearing those interviews and Epic Minecraft Dabbers making a statement there. Happy to come back in the next tournament, which I can't wait for. It has been a wild ride from day one of the group stage. We saw some crazy picks and bans from all the teams on this tournament. And I do want to shout out to everyone that has participated in this tournament thus far. A tournament cannot go well without so many participants, and I hope to see more people signing up thanks to them seeing how this tournament played out this year.
Yeah, it was very, very fun organizing it. Huge thanks to you for being one of my co-casters, but being my co-caster. I can't do what you do when it comes to play-by-play, so it's very, very, very appreciated having you on the cast. So thanks heaps.
It's all good. Thanks for having me, and I look forward to the next tournament being hosted by you, Samson. So I'll let you wrap this one up.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to two. I want to try to run one again mid-year. It might be bigger. We might try to put some more prizes into it. It just depends. With the whole COVID thing and the club room being closed, we don't have that innate revenue stream. So sometimes it's kind of hard to put aside the resources for it. But we'll see. We'll rethink about it, and then in mid-year, when everyone's on break and got nothing much to do, we'll see if we can run then. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Huge thanks to all the viewers that have joined in. Thank you, Brian. And I'm going to close off the stream now. So